The Special Committee on Government is now called to order. First of all, I want to thank our young folks that are here. We appreciate you. We know you took time out of school. That is important, school. And if you are a young person, raise your hand. That's in the, that's, okay, it's here for DCS. Okay, parents, our older folks look like me. That don't mean raise your hand. Okay, all right. I want to read an opening statement really quickly. We convene in this special committee at a pivotal moment in Arizona's child welfare system, a moment that demands both reflection and decisive actions. Across our state, too many families face uncertainty. Too many of our children wait for stable care that they deserve today. We stand united in our determination to do better, to protect and uplift the children of Arizona. Our purpose is clear, yet profound, to ensure that every child in this state grows up safe, supported, and given the opportunity to thrive. This moment is not about politics or partisanship. It's about responsibility, the shared responsibility we hold as leaders, neighbors, human beings that care for our most vulnerable, our children. The Republican majority stands fully committed to this mission. We approach the challenges before us with seriousness, compassion, and unwavering focus on outcomes that strengthen families, restore trust, and serve our children. Protecting Arizona's children is not a political talking point. It is a moral duty that unites us beyond party lines and ideology. We are deeply grateful for the thousands of dedicated employees within the Arizona Department of Child Safety who wake up every day committed to this mission. Their hard work, often unseen, but always essential, reflects the very best of public safety. They share our commitment in caring for Arizona's foster children and supporting the families who open their hearts and their homes. And we are extremely grateful for their sacrifices. We are also recognizing and honoring the foster parents, biological parents, service providers, advocates, and community partners who have given their time, compassion, and strength to the shared calling that we are about to partake. They are the backbone of the system that best embodies the best of Arizona and the children that we love. We know the challenges are real. From high caseloads to staffing shortages to growing needs facing Arizona families. But we are not about assigning blame or dwelling on past obstacles. We're here to act. We are here to help the leaders in DCS fulfill their mission. We also know what is not working in the system. And it is not the dedicated men and women of DCS. The recent findings from the Arizona Auditor General make it clear. The reports highlight serious lapses within the Arizona Department of Public Safety's investigation process, from delays to key activities and incomplete documentation. Communication gaps that erode trust in Arizona families and trust across the spectrum. These issues cannot be ignored. They call on us to act now. This special committee has been convened to confront those realities openly and directly, not to dwell on the shortcomings, but to ensure that meaningful collective actions moving forward are beneficial to our most vulnerable, our children. Our mission is to drive reform. The work of this committee will work on 5 pillars: accountability and oversight, ensuring that the department fulfills its legal and moral obligations with integrity and timeless accuracy, reform and continuous improvement, moving from recognition of problems to implementing real lasting change based on evidence from the Auditor General's office. Child-centered mission and family support. Putting children's safety first, which I know that the director of DCS has at the front of her mission, is to put children safe. And I applaud her in that. And collaborating, the shared responsibility, is the fifth pillar. That means uniting lawmakers, DCS employees, foster families, parents, and community partners under the shared mission, and that is protecting our children. Together, these pillars will define our intent to confront known deficiencies within the Arizona Department of Safety openly and constructively, to restore integrity and trust in the state child welfare system, and to ensure that every investigation, action, and decision serves in the best interest of our children. The Arizona Auditor General's report also reminds us that there are strengths within the department: dedicated employees, policies that support accountability, and the practice that protects children. Our job is now to build upon what works, correct what doesn't, and create a standard of excellence that Arizonans can trust. We will pursue these reforms with transparency, accountability, and a shared commitment with the department to build results that Arizonans can trust. Again, our vision is the child welfare system, and to ensure that our children that are in the state custody are cared for, and that they have the opportunity to grow, to learn, and succeed. Together, as leaders in this room, in this state, and in agencies across the state, we have a moral responsibility to support children, their families, and ensure that we are able to mitigate crises before they occur. So, let's get to work. Before we do that, I want to acknowledge our esteemed director who is in the room, who is at the forefront of caring for our kids. This is not a blame, point finger of who's doing what wrong. This is a hearing that will allow us to enforce the policies that the department needs to get back on the right track. Not saying that they are not doing their best, because they are trying. Today, we will hear a series of pieces of policy and legislation that has been drawn, written carefully through our legislative council, and also from our members that are engaged in this, and also from community partners, and with the help of our attorneys here at the House of Representatives. These policies are meant to build a foundation based on the errors that we have found through the Auditor General's office and reports that we have received in other avenues. Once these policies are adopted and they are passed in this committee, which is a bipartisan committee, they will move to the floor. And once they move to the floor, the regular process of the policies will take place. In the near future, during the crossover week, we will continue to have presentations and information for the public for the transparency part of this. And we will also have members from the department and other departments and agencies come and share with us the information that they have so we can continue this effort. So with that, I will begin this process. And Madam Vice, will you please, Secretary, will you please note the roll? Yes.
Representative Gillette.
Here.
Representative Marquez. Representative Stahl-Hamilton.
Present.
Representative Villegas.
Here.
Representative Way.
Here.
Vice Chairman Fink.
Here.
Chairman Blackman.
Here. Okay, Madam Vice, please move. How long is it?
2611.
Please move 2611.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 2611 be returned with the due pass recommendation.
Staff, will you please explain the bill?
Mr. Chairman and members, House Bill 2611 requires the Arizona Department of Child Safety to terminate a group foster home employee who received a positive drug screening result. Additionally, the bill establishes requirements for employee screening for group foster homes and resident safety policies for juvenile group homes. It also expands on the rights of foster care children and kinship foster care children and includes designated advocates as part of the family and service teams for placing a child in congregate care setting. Mr. Chair, there's an amendment I can explain.
Madam Vice, please move the amendment.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Blackman Amendment dated February 18th, 2026 at 6:57 p.m. be adopted.
Staff, please explain the amendment.
Mr. Chair, members, the Blackman Amendment dated February 18, 2026 at 6:57 p.m. directs a group foster home to submit the completion and results of the required quarterly drug screening, as well as requires rather than allows a drug screening of a group foster home employee involved in an incident in which a child who lives at the foster home was injured. And prior to terminating a group foster home employee who received a positive drug screening result, the group foster home must remove the employee from all contact with children residing in the group foster home until additional confirmation of the drug screening and review is done by a medical professional. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Members, any questions to staff? Seeing none, we have the sponsor. I am the sponsor of this bill. So, members, what this does, it actually brings more transparency to some of the issues that we have found in the Auditor General's report of some of the issues, the underlying issues in that report of what was laid out by staff. Yeah, it's important that we start this process with what I was taught long ago in the military, to peel back the onion. Again, this bill is not directed to point fingers at their staff that are doing the good work of the agency. However, it's to protect children that are placed in some of these environments that may encounter these, and help the staff and the department to manage and mitigate some of those other issues. So, any questions to me? Yes.
And this is on the amendment, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what line it is in the bill, but the amendment removes, Mr. Chair, sorry, removes the requirement that DCS must automatically terminate a group foster home employee who receives a positive drug screening result. I'm a little bit curious about the leniency there.
So on that, I'm willing to do a floor amendment on that, where it gives the agency, particularly at the director's level, and we'll talk about that because we know that there's something on there, that gives the director more autonomy to be able to do that.
Got it.
Because right now, it's very limited. So I think that we can tighten it up where the director can actually act to be able to fix some of the things that may impede her from doing, or them from doing their job.
So, Mr. Chair, is there, in any case where a person, well, let me back up. First question, I'll take it step by step. What types of drugs are being screened?
That's, I have to, I'm not sure what they screen, if it's marijuana, if it's And that's where I want to defer to the director, what they are looking for. Actually, should be no, they shouldn't have any drugs in their system. They shouldn't have any drugs in their system. And most of all, they shouldn't have these drugs in their system while they're at work, okay? We know that there is a law that allows Arizonans to use marijuana. However, I'm not sure of the policies that the agency has while on duty. So I want to give the director of the agency more latitude to place those requirements in their policies, so when they do drug screening, that they can act on that based on our presentation.
Which brings up the second question, Mr.
Yes.
Chair. Is there any type of substance that would show up as a positive on a drug test that isn't actually a drug?
I do not know.
That's.
What did you say?
And yeah, so yeah, thank you, Representative Fink. I was thinking about that, and that has caused complications in the past, and people unnecessarily have been terminated.
Yeah,
And if the goal is to keep our good people in there.
and that's the autonomy that I want to give the director when they lay this policy out. They can okay, here is a timeline. We can do another test to make sure it's not a false positive. So to be able to operate in that battle space. Because if you have a good employee that takes the test and it's positive, and they know that this is a good employee, and it gives the employee an opportunity to, I'm on this medication or I'm on this.
Right, correct.
For the director to, so the director can give them autonomy.
Right,
Instead of just, no, you're fired.
right,
That,
right.
that's not
Right.
practical.
So this is absolutely trying to go, Mr. Chair, go in with a scalpel. I do wonder also, Mr. Chair, if we're talking about THC, and Rep. Fink, you might know the answer to this. How long does THC stay in the system?
Mr. Chair, Representative Stahl Hamilton, I'll have to look on that, but it will stay for several days.
Yes.
Which means a person, I don't use, but a person may use, but come to work clean,
Yes.
sober, dry, whatever, and it still could be
It's
in
still
the
in their
system.
system.
Mhm.
That's why their policies, whatever the policies they set forth, you get drug tested,
Okay,
and then you show up positive, and then when they return, after we find out how long it stays in their system, that the director can retest them or counsel them or what have you. I want, the key to this is to ensure that they have the power that they need to be able to keep good employees,
right.
give them the opportunity to do the right thing.
Right, right.
Okay, and then if they have employees that are bad actors, that they have the autonomy and the authority to be able to take measures
Right.
for corrective action.
And one more follow-up, Mr. Chair. I appreciate you taking the time to step through all of this. Does DCS have in their procedures, I'm sure they've got a procedural manual, their protocol, is it spelled out what happens when a person is terminated?
Yeah,
Mr. Chair, I think
go ahead.
Representative Gillette can help out.
Yes, Mr. Chair. If I can be assistance here. The Arizona Department of Child Safety Policy, DCS 04-01, executed 21 May 2018, states that they will be observing the 1988 Drug-Free Workforce Act. And in that act, it allows the DCS director to terminate, suspend, whatever she wants. But the problem we're having now, that although this is a DCS policy, the DCS director sometimes is not able to operate under her own policy. So federal law states, and the policy admits, that this is something that we can do, but now we're going through HR and all these other things. So I believe the amendment is correct in its application of authority with the director.
So, thank you, Mr. Gillette, Mr. Chair. let me ask the question a little more clearly. I think I stumbled through it. What I'm asking is if an employee is pulled,
Yes.
is there a backup plan? Is there a procedure backup plan for care immediately? That's what I'm
We
asking, not
need-
who
we
has the
need to fill that
discretion to
gap.
pull.
We need to fill that gap, and working collaboratively, we need to do that. And that's something that I want to work with the agency and members, because right now, let's say that happens. Let's say that there is a drug test. The director has some authority, limited authority to remove, and I don't know the authority that she has to plug in, based on, it could be a lack of resources, a lack
Sure,
of caseworkers, a lack of folks working in some of these homes. So, in order for us to move to a point to where we can backfill these folks, we need the director to be able to have a clear vision of who they have, who the bad actors, and who they can plug in
Yeah.
to these vacancies that may occur. Now, maybe there's no one doing this. However, the main preface of this legislation is to restore that authority, or to give that director the authority that they need to be able to operate, because they're very limited in doing this
Okay,
and stuff they need to do.
all right, so that, okay, thank you. My next question, I'm
Please.
not
No,
trying.
no, no, you're fine.
So, if I understand you correctly, Mr. Chair, the director doesn't have that authority right now.
So I'm going to yield to Representative Gillette. He has some information on this that it's quite revealing. However, before I do that, the director's hands are practically tied. And so I'm going to let, okay, Mr. Gillette, would you?
Thank you, Mr.
I
Chair.
will do-
I'll again refer you to DCS Policy 04-01, 21 May 2018. The policy is a Department of Child and Family Services policy, and it mimics the 1988 Drug-Free Workforce Act. So the remedies in that act are clearly laid out in what the director can do. But there are times that the director is circumvented by DCS from enacting that policy. So we have a policy that has the effect of law. The director wants to execute that policy and is told by another body not to execute that policy. That's what we have to clear up.
That's what this law does.
Thank you. Thank you. I understand that. I guess I'm still, my question is, Mr. Chair, twofold. One is, if the director doesn't have the authority, why? And number two, is there a plan in place right now if somebody is removed from, and we're talking about congregate care, does a plan to place somebody in care, does it fall upon the agency of the home, or does it fall upon DCS? Whose jurisdiction are we
It's
talking
going to
about?
fall under DCS in the direction of the director's intent of how they fulfill that policy. Now,
That's
I
the way
know,
it is now?
I don't know if it's like that now. If the policy they have right now works, how they backfill, then the director, under this bill, will have the authority to exercise that without going through whoever else is tying their hands. So again, with that, drilling down, we often hear when we hear DCS, we often hear it's the director. But we found out it is not the director, because the director's hands are tied in certain aspects of how they are able to perform their duty.
Okay.
So this piece of legislation is a guideline and a message with policy to DOA, is it DOA?
Mr. Chair,
Please.
DCS will sometimes interfere with the actions of the DCS director, and will get HR and everyone else
Yeah.
involved in the decision when the policy is clearly laid out and agreed to by all entities. But as we'll testify to later in March, that this policy was codified in 2018, and there's been superseding contracts since then changing policy. but no one has ever changed the policy, so the policy still stands. So in my opinion, if there's a drug test and someone is found to be high at work or incompetent, unable to work, the DCS director removes that person, that vendor or that person from observing children. It would be on the discretion of the director and the vendor to replace that employee with a qualified employee at the time.
And this is all under the discretion of the director, because the director is the person or body that has to have the tools to be able to turn this around. And right now, based on what we have found, it's very limited in what the director can do. So we are expecting the director to turn a ship without the steering wheel.
And finally, Mr. Chair, these actions are directed because it is federal money. CFR 1308.11 directs, because federal money is being used, that the director will make these changes and make these policies and enforce these policies because they are receiving federal money. So I don't even think that is something we can change. The amendment allows the director not only to follow state law, but federal law and her own policy.
Do you want to listen to some of the children or the?
Well, let me ask just one more, and then I am happy to listen. Let me scratch this itch if you would, please, Mr. Chair. And then I will be quiet and I will hear from the children.
You're fine.
Okay. How many different congregate care agencies do we have contracts with in the state of Arizona?
So what I'm going to do, I haven't spoken to the leadership about this till last Monday. We have sent an invitation to the director to tell us these. So as we move this forward, based on their needs and how many congregate care centers are there, how to fulfill this, we'll build that amendment based on their information, because they have to execute this. Okay, this is the basis for them to operate. And then again, what we found is that the director wants to do one thing, and that's fix the problem. However, the director, their hands are tied to do the job that we are asking them to do, asking her or him to do, which makes it an impossible feat to be a director of DCS, and this has been a systemic problem since 1978. So starting at the basis to give them the autonomy to try to work this, if we don't fix that, it's a problem that will continue to happen, which has continued to happen for decades. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Okay, all right, so.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm asking for Anise Mattis, if you want to come on up. And then afterward, I have Alex, so if they want to be in the queue. Okay. Oh, let me get that closer. Okay, Anise Mattis, and then I have Alex, what's his last name here? Alex Ochoa Rivera in the queue.
Okay. All right, folks. Before we go forward, I just want to put the rules of engagement out there. You go through the chair, address the chair, and then you address the member who's asking you the questions, or you go through the chair with your comments. The length of comments are 2 minutes, unless there's a clarifying question that a member would like to ask you. All right? So I want you to, like, you're talking to me and they're listening, but you're always going through the chair. Okay?
Yes.
All right, so you may state your name, if you represent our organization, and then you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Denise Matus. I'm here representing myself in strong support of House Bill 2611. This bill gives foster kids something we don't get very often, hope. Here's what you need to know. A lot of these protections are already supposed to happen. The rules exist, but when adults don't follow them, kids get hurt. A rule on paper doesn't keep you safe at night. That's why we are here. We don't want safety to be a suggestion, we want it to be the law. House Bill 2611 is youth-led. These changes come from the youth who live in group homes and know what does not work. This bill will make sure our rights are real, like the right to have a copy of our rights, the right to join activities when we want, the right to feel free from bullying and discrimination. It would also make sure our rights and important phone numbers are posted in group homes, so we know who to call for help. It would also make adults follow the rules. Staff would get random drug tests and be fired if test positive. Staff would get better training. There will be clear rules to stop neglect and bad behavior. Group homes would have to make sure kids go to doctors and mental health appointments. House Bill 2611 is our words, our pain, our hope. Please vote yes on House Bill 2611 because better systems are built when you listen to the kids living inside them. Thank you. I am open to any questions.
Members, any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Please.
thank you, Elise, for coming. And I just have a question. You said you've experienced bullying within the group home. Has that been from the staff or from others? And were you able to resolve that?
Not necessarily me personally for staff, but from clients, yes.
Okay. And did you, Mr. Chair, follow up?
Please.
Was there a way for you to overcome that or a pathway to be able to resolve that?
Yes.
Okay. All right, good.
And members, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, I'm done.
And members, I will tell you, a lot of this information came from the kids in the foster care system. Now, of course, we had to put the legal language to it, the constitutionality of it, but a lot of this came from them about what they see could be fixed. Again, giving the director the opportunity to be able to say, okay, I've been wanting to fix this, and now I can. So, y'all did a good job on this bill.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Then I have Alex and then Zia, hopefully I said that correctly, is on deck.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Alexander Ochoa Rivera. I'm here
Put
representing.
that mic up to you, because you're like a
You're tall.
giant.
I'm here representing myself and in support of House Bill 2611. Thank you for giving me the chance to speak. I currently live in Concord Care, so everything in this bill affects me and the kids I live with every single day. One of the things I appreciate most about this bill is that it makes screenings mandatory and makes staff more responsible for what happens in the home. When staff don't know how to handle a situation, it affects all of us. Adults should not be arguing with kids. That changes the whole mood of the house, and it makes it feel unsafe. Mandatory training means staff will actually know how to work with youth instead of reacting in ways that make things worse. I also really support the part of the bill that makes sure we get mental health services. A lot of us come into care with trauma, and being offered services, not just told they exist, but actually offered them, is a big deal. It shows that someone is paying attention to what we need. I was part of the Concord Care Coalition, and one thing we talk about a lot is having an advocate for youth. House Bill 2611 gives us that. Having someone we can go to when something is wrong, someone who will listen and take action, makes a huge difference. It means we don't have to stay quiet when staff are acting inappropriately or when our rights are being ignored. Speaking of rights, posting the Foster Youth Bill of Rights in every home is important. A lot of kids don't even know what their rights are. When rights are visible, it reminds staff and youth that we matter. and that there are rules everyone has to follow. This bill gives the youth in Congress care a voice. It gives us protection, and it gives us a way to hold adults accountable. That's why I'm here today, asking for you to support House Bill 2611. Thank you for your time. I'm open to any questions.
Members, any questions? Seeing none, thank you. That was really good.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Who do we have next?
Yes, we have Zier and then Corey.
Zier, your full name and the organization that you represent, please.
So good afternoon, Sir Chair and Vice Chair, members of the committee. My name is Zaire Henry, and I am here representing myself in support of House Bill 2611. I support this bill because it straightens protection for all youth in congregate care. It gives us the right to speak up about concerns without being punished for it. Having a voice gives us hope. It allows us to report bullying, discrimination, and unfair treatment, and it makes it clear that youth deserves to be treated with dignity. Youth should also be able to participate in normal activities, after-school programs, sports, or clubs. Youth are often told that there aren't enough staff or transportations available to get them to activities, and that shuts us out of experience every other normal teen is to have. Being in foster care shouldn't take away the chance to experience normalcy. Safety is another major issue. Arizona News reports have described serious safety failures in a Phoenix group home, including guns and drugs found on site. That should never be possible anywhere youth are placed. House Bill 2611 creates stronger accountability so safety concerns can be ignored and youth protection don't depend on which home we're in. Most importantly, House Bill 2611 brings hope. It shows that the voices of youth living in congregate care matter and gives us a real path to be heard. I respectfully ask you to support House Bill 2611. Thank you for your time. I'm open for any questions.
Members, any questions? Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next.
Let's get Corey Smith. And then Jennifer Mosher.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Corey Smith. I'm a former foster youth and currently work as a direct care staff in a foster group home that I myself grew up in. I am in strong support of House Bill 2611. Youth in group homes deserve a voice, and this bill reflects the reality youth have been living. They brought these solutions forward because they want group homes to be safe places, not places where harm continues. Youth in group homes deserve to feel safe, respected, and protected. Many of us entered foster care after experiencing abuse, neglect, or exploitation. A group home should be a place of stability and healing, not another setting where youth feel unsafe or unsupported. I came back to work at a group home because I know firsthand what it feels like to have quality staff who can make a real difference in your life. I also know firsthand what it feels like to be in a home where you are simply another number. Today, I'll focus on 2 points: staff accountability when drugs are involved, and safety-focused technology policies that help prevent exploitation. On drug use, one youth I work with shared that in a previous group home, he walked into a bathroom and found a staff member using a disposable marijuana pen with another youth. That same staff member was later caught using cocaine in the bathroom. Situations like this break trust and create unsafe environments for youth who are already incredibly vulnerable. That's why I support HB 2611 and the targeted amendment. The amendment is critical because it protects youth to speak up in good faith and ensures that when drug use is identified, there is a clear, enforceable response. Immediate removal from child contact pending confirmatory testing and termination when illegal or unauthorized drug use is confirmed. So child safety comes first. I also support appropriate responsible technology policies because traffickers and abusers use phones and social media to reconnect with and manipulate youth in care. Thoughtful, safety-focused limits and monitoring with clear guidelines and respect for youth can help prevent further harm. HB 2611 raises the standard of care for youth in group homes. Foster youth deserve more than basic supervision. They deserve adults who are fully present, accountable, and committed to their safety and well-being. Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of HB 2611. I urge you to vote yes on HB 2611, and I am now available for any questions.
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Thank you, Corey, for coming up here. Question, how, did you see the drugs being used in the homes? And if you did, how often?
I was not currently in that house when it happened, but I have seen in past circumstances staff using drugs around the house. I've been in the field since I was 21, I'm 27, probably 4 or 5 times specifically myself.
Specifically yourself?
Yes.
And what happened, Mr. Chair?
No, no, please.
And what happened to those staff members? Were they still employed?
Oftentimes it gets waited out for an investigation. Typically, I've seen staff come back maybe 2 weeks later after an unpaid suspension.
Okay. And then also, Mr. Chair,
Please.
in regards to, you said trafficking. So
Yes.
have you been seeing that as well in regards to phones and electronics?
Thank you for asking that question.
Go through the chair.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Fink, I worked with a girls' home through my prior company, and we did see circumstances where girls would sneak phones in and try to communicate with their past relations, and ultimately they would run away shortly after once they had a connection established on their phone.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Members, any other questions? How many times did you roughly see this yourself as a staff member? Are you seeing it, okay, correction. Are you seeing it as a staff member now as a staff member, or did you see it more when you were a resident, a minor in these homes?
Thank you for asking that. As a youth and in homes, I probably saw it a couple times. I mean, we're naive to certain things as we're growing up. More so being as an adult and a coworker, I saw it more frequently because I'm exposed to that as an adult. Sorry.
Were you able to report this to a supervisor, or was there a method where you were able to go around the supervisor and inform the leadership that this is going on without, what's the word I'm looking for? Without getting consequenced for informing folks?
Whistleblower?
Whistleblower, were you able, is there a whistleblower mechanism for this type of thing? For staff members?
Not to the best of my knowledge. If I can touch on that real quick. Oftentimes, the companies that we work for are very small and managed directly by the owners of the homes. And so it's hard to report to the owners wrongdoings that are observed because I work with only one other coworker during the day currently, and this is typically standard for most group homes, assuming they're working with that ratio policy that they have. And so if I were to say something about a coworker, it would come directly back to me because there would not be any other witnesses.
There's no protections.
Correct.
Okay. And I'll save that question later. Okay. Well, I appreciate you. Members, you have any other questions? I appreciate you and your service to the state.
Thank you for your time.
Okay.
And I do have some others. Jennifer Mosier, if you want to come up and address.
Ms. Mosier?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Jennifer Mosier. I'm an attorney. I work here in Arizona. I actually am often employed privately, contracted privately with clients who are opposing DCS. And in my opinion, there's no measure that this House of Representatives or our Senate can possibly employ in the form of a statute to overcome the systemic corruption that I observe every day.
Okay.
However, I support HB 2611 because it at least begins to try to target the thing that causes children to be so vulnerable once they are taken and removed. I have parents in my office every day who are tearful, afraid, they don't know where their children are, and their children, meanwhile, are being subject to possible corruption and abuse in their foster homes that my parent clients can't possibly even imagine and aren't often told about. I see records doctored by the department frequently. I have one case right now where a child ran away on June 1st, 2026. Yeah, it's in the future. That's our department right now. HB 2611 would, if amended, would actually match the Department of Corrections handbook for drug testing. So we do require for our Department of Corrections that people who work with criminals, people who have been adjudicated guilty within our system, those criminals who are in the system now are safe. They are safe in a drug-free workplace. And yet we expose our children still with questions about what we should test for or what the plan might be.
15 seconds.
The plan, I'm sorry?
15 seconds. Keep going.
Okay, the plan should be absolutely that every single employee should be tested. And I've got a list of substances on my phone, and I've actually sent to Representative Fink the Department of Corrections handbook so that she can help educate us to what the policies could be and procedures could be. Because it should at least, at a bare minimum, for the children of Arizona, match people who have already been adjudicated guilty by the criminal system.
So as an attorney, what's some of the roadblocks that you have encountered professionally when you were trying to defend these families or children?
I don't
Just a
have a
few
death wish. I'm not sure how much I want to talk about it publicly because I'm not sure how deep this corruption runs.
Okay.
I really, I'm not prepared to get into names or details, but I will say that, for instance, the Department of Child Safety has attorneys who frequently work with the Department of Child Safety. The caseworkers will present a report to the court. It's the only court in Arizona that I'm aware of where one party, not even an attorney, a party, it's like my client gets to go to the judge and say, Judge, here's the report, the official report for this case. In family court, that would never even be imaginable. But we have caseworkers who are 26, 27 years old, who they draft a report, and that report becomes the law of the case, and it becomes the narrative of the case. That is impossible to overcome in Arizona. The judges invariably, they see the department caseworkers, and they see the department attorneys, the AGs, so much more often than they see private counsel. Most people can't even afford to hire me. A lot of people call us, they can't afford to hire us. And so they're forced to go with attorneys who are on the roster. Those attorneys receive federal funds to represent people in court. Well, those attorneys, some of them, I'm gonna soften my words here. I'm not sure that that the same level of representation is offered. People experience the same level of representation by court-appointed counsel as they do our office. People will transition when they see that there's just not enough advocacy for their needs in their case. But even when there is advocacy, my advice invariably almost always has to be, you're going to need to kiss the ring. You're going to need to align with the department. You're going to need to admit that you did something that you didn't do.
You mean the parent?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have parents who have to admit to something just to deal with the human ego of the department employees. So often, not even admit to it, but just concede that, okay, let's assume this happened, even when it didn't. My parents who try to challenge their dependencies, they run into enormous roadblocks. We have a system that is deeply, deeply corrupt. There is some level of connection between foster homes in Arizona and our Department of Child Safety. I don't know what it is, but I do see that there is a connection. I don't know where it goes.
I see.
Again, I want to remain healthy and alive and working for a long time in this community.
Would you be willing to meet with some of us in private?
I would be desperate to.
Okay.
I want to take away this source of employment. I don't need this many people in Arizona to be told you should move out of state the minute your dependency is dismissed. That is our legal advice to our clients. When they lose their dependency is dismissed. One of our points in our letters legally advising our clients is leave Arizona. We have the highest rate of terminations of parent-child relationships in the entire country, right here in Maricopa County. And if you're Black or Latino, it's double. So 5% of the time, DCS knocks on your door, they're taking your kids and they're terminating your rights.
Can you, I know you probably don't want to elaborate on that, but.
I'm sorry?
I'm sure you don't want to elaborate on that last part, but that's something we can talk in private if you.
Absolutely.
Because I
Yeah.
don't want
It's
you
a
to
pro
fill
publica
in.
statute, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry?
It's a pro publica statute, or it's a pro publica statistic, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
I'm speaking extemporaneously.
So if it's not uncomfortable for you to depart about the Black and Latino portion,
Absolutely.
because we have a subject matter expert on that, Representative Gillette, that found some of the same information through data. You can explain it if you'd like. Can you kind of elaborate a little bit on that?
I know the ProPublica statute, statistics, excuse me, I am confusing them. I'm speaking extemporaneously again. I know that the statistics show that essentially it's double the rate of termination for our Black and Latino families. My husband is Argentine. I have an Argentine stepson. That hits home for me personally, but they're really not the vulnerable members of our society. It's people who speak Spanish, who culturally don't understand when to stop reporting problems to the police. I had one woman who was Latino who reported abuse to the police. Her child was taken from her and handed to the other parent. And so that's an example. But with you have a cultural barrier, a language barrier, it makes it that much harder to transition into the society. But I think that there are groups, minority groups, who are more commonly associated with poverty. They have a head start that's further back. I'm sorry, but that's reality in our country still today. And as a result, those people, I believe, have a harder time affording counsel privately. If they can hire me, they can get ahead of the problem a lot earlier, Mr. Chair.
Members, do you want to?
Mr. Chair, I prefer to leave that one until the March brief.
Yeah, the March.
I don't want to expose that date at this time.
Sounds good.
I'd be happy to speak with any of you, Mr. Chair, to your question.
We will send a
Thank you.
invite
Thank you.
to you in confidence. Okay?
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Mr. Chair, there's quite a few others, if you would like to hear them,
Yes,
or
I'm excused.
you would? Okay.
Thank you. I would like to hear them. I will
Okay,
limit my questions to.
okay. I have Veronica Branscombe. And then another one, Mary Jane Mahan. These are all yeses.
Good
Last one,
afternoon,
Veronica.
Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Veronica Branscombe, and I'm here today in strong support of HB 2611. I would like to speak more specifically on a couple of the things on there about requiring minimum security standards for group homes that include security and entry, exit, functional locks, and monitored common areas. Also about establishing the trauma-informed safety protocols that can prevent grooming and the exploitation and unauthorized exits by residents, as well as this, which goes hand in hand with that, is establishing technology policies that limit or monitor the use by the residents that can provide appropriate security through the use of apps and technology. I'm not speaking only about policy. I'm speaking to you today about a child, Zariah Finley Dodd. She was groomed, sexually assaulted, exploited, and ultimately murdered by a man who preyed on her vulnerability. She was a vulnerable teen in DCS care. The systems that were meant to protect her did not have enough safeguards to stop what was happening before it was too late. HB 2611 would strengthen safety standards in the group homes, requiring the trauma-informed training, stronger background checks, monitored common areas, controlled entry and exit, and limits on that technology. These are not excessive rules, they're just protective barriers. Grooming doesn't happen overnight, it happens when warning signs are missed. It happens when supervision is
30 seconds.
inconsistent. I know that this bill will not bring Zariah back, but it can help protect the next child. Children in state care deserve more than the minimum standard. They deserve intentional protection, accountability, and adults equipped to recognize danger before it escalates. Please vote yes on House Bill 2611 and make Zariah's legacy one to be reformed where it can protect other lives.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Thank you for your statement.
I have Mary Jane Mahan. Okay, I guess not here. I do have some others that are, if necessary. Anybody feeling like they need to come up?
Okay, you got one.
Okay,
One right there.
go ahead. What is your name? Lori. Oh, Lori Ford. Okay, yeah, you did. I was just in, oh, yep, you did.
Also, let us know your organization that you work at.
I sure will.
Thank you, Lord.
Thank you, Chair Blackman and committee members. My name is Lori Ford, and I have the AZDCS Oversight Group. We are a grassroots organization. In addressing Bill 2611, yes, just a flat-out yes on that. There's also other avenues that can go along with that bill for safety, and one of them is cameras. Cameras in the group homes. They're not going to be available to everybody, but cameras are a real deterrent. DCS does not like cameras. Families that have cameras in their homes are forced to shut down their cameras when DCS comes into the home. But for the protection and the deterrent of the cameras, I think would be really effective. Another thing is, what would be wrong with having like a locked grievance box with grievance forms with a box and a lock that these people, you know, the residents there could put their grievances in, and
30 seconds.
that key would be held here at the Capitol, not with DCS. And I would like to address something real quick that Representative Hamilton brought up about the drug testing. There are prescription medications that do come up as fentanyl or methamphetamine, and you can ask any mother whose baby is seized at birth. Unbeknownst to her, she's been drug tested, and her baby is seized due to fentanyl, methamphetamines, but this mother, most of the time, are on prescription meds. So yeah,
Time.
any questions?
Yeah, I just have one question. How would we get around the privacy issue of a minor and cameras? Because I know there's some protections for the minor child and a camera. I'm sure there's something out there to protect that minor.
Sure. Like I said, the camera footage would not be available to anybody and everybody. You know, but if there is something that comes up, you know, to the Senate, the House, somebody, you have that camera footage that you can go back and check and see. I don't see where any kids in the group home would be opposed to having cameras there as more protection for them.
And is that some footage that, who would review that footage?
I would say probably law enforcement.
The law enforcement?
Yes, if it comes down to it,
Okay.
yes, law enforcement,
All right,
yeah.
thanks. I appreciate that, and thanks for coming up. Do appreciate you.
You're welcome. I think I'm down for several other
Okay.
bills too to
Thank you
speak
so
on.
much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We shouldn't have any more, right?
Nope.
All right, members, discussion? Seeing none? Members, the motion before you is that the Blackman Amendment dated February 18, 2026 at 6:57 PM be adopted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. It appears the ayes have it, do have it. Madam Vice, please move the bill as amended.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 2611 as amended be returned with a due pass recommendation.
Members, the motion before you is that House Bill 2611 as amended be returned with a due pass recommendation. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Gillette,
Aye.
Representative Marquez, Representative Stahl Hamilton,
Pass.
Representative Villegas,
Pass.
Representative Wade,
Aye.
Representative Stahl Hamilton,
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Yeah, thank you. I know this bill is going to move. I still have some questions that aren't quite satisfied on the amendment, and I know you said that we can talk about it. I am going to vote present today, and will connect with you regarding the amendment. And for the record, I still am not satisfied with who sets contracts with the group homes, what that looks like. Should all of this be mandated to change? What's the process? I still just have a lot of procedural questions that need answering, that I think right now we've got a full agenda, we've got a full hearing room that I think I would be more than happy to sit down with you and hammer some of these out to see if my questions are satisfied.
Absolutely.
Representative Villegas,
Mr. Chair.
Please.
So I have a lot of the same concerns as my colleague. And there's a lot of questions about, again, the contracting between the state and the group homes, the RFP process. What are those questions in the RFP to get group homes to bid on them, to contract? And I think that's where some of the issues may lie. And so I too have a lot of questions and concerns. I'm going to vote yes today to move it along, but I do appreciate that, we're willing to continue to work on this. Thank you.
Vice Chairman Fink,
Aye.
Chairman Blackman.
To my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, I appreciate your concerns and I appreciate your support as long as with mine. What I am prepared to do is do more than talk. Your recommendations that you have concerns with, we bring those to the table and we introduce floor amendments. That's what I am prepared to do on this, because your say is valuable. So let's do that, and I commit to doing that. And with that, I vote aye. Members, with your votes of 5 ayes, 1 present, 1 absent, you have given HB 2611 as amended a due pass. Next bill. Okay, we are going to move 2035, and that's your bill, Representative Fink. Okay, staff, please explain the bill.
Mr. Chairman, members, House Bill 2035 adds extended family members to the list of individuals that DCS must include in the search, notification, and placement when a child is taken into custody. It also requires DCS to presume that placement of a child with a relative, extended family member, or person with significant relationship for kinship foster care is in the child's best interest. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Members, any questions? Seeing none, we have the sponsor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This one here is with Kinship. With kinship care, we know that children do better. And in fact, I have lots of different reasons why it is important. And basically, this bill is seeking to codify into law what's already DCS policy. And these are some of the strong, well-documented benefits for children, families, and communities. Children experience less trauma when they're placed with familiar caregivers, They maintain existing attachment bonds, reducing anxiety and behavioral problems, higher sense of belonging, identity, and security compared to non-relative foster care, lower rates of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. They're more likely to graduate from high school. Anyway, we see improved academic outcomes overall. And so therefore, this is something we want to make sure and make this a priority of DCS, because also if you look at when kids go missing from state care, basically the smallest percentage is from the kinship care. So that is a much better option overall. And so, anyway, I'm open for questions.
Yes,
Mr. Chair,
ranking member.
Rep Fink,
Uh-huh.
isn't this already being done?
Mr. Chair, Representative Villegas, I have testimony that will enlighten as to if it's already being done or not. But currently, it's not as good as it should be.
Mr. Chair, isn't it in statute already?
Mr. Chair, Representative Villegas, it is somewhat in the statute. This just strengthens it.
And if I may, some of the policies that are already in statute are not being followed out. And some of that is the rulemaking, some of that could be some of the other departments that may be interfering with exercising and executing what is the intent of the law. The codifying some of that law is what we really need, so they can follow that out, so.
Okay.
I thought we moved it. We did move it.
Oh, no.
We didn't
No,
move
we
it?
did not. Okay. Yep, nope, I got it here. So let me pull it up. We did not, and I would, not a good vice chair here.
No, that's,
Sorry that.
I'm the chairman, I'm responsible for that.
So, Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 2035 be returned with a due pass recommendation.
Okay.
All right.
Members, you already heard the staff briefing, and let's go ahead and get into it. Thank you.
Okay, I have Diane Post.
Ms. Post, please approach, name, and the organization that you may be representing.
My name is Diane Post. I'm an attorney, and I'm also a registered lobbyist for Arizona Now. We are in favor of this bill because, as we all know, there was an overrepresentation of African Americans in the DCS system, and this causes trauma to the child and the family. The African American culture, much like the Native American culture, has an extended kin system which often is not recognized by the agency or by the courts. It is well recognized, as the Representative Fink just outlined, that the child is better off in foster care with a family member or a kin than with an unknown foster family. The kin preference can be rebutted by the best interest standard. One of the issues last year was, well, what if it isn't a good idea for this particular kin? Well, it can be rebutted by the best interest standard, and it leaves judicial discretion with the judge to do that. But it requires that these findings and legal conclusions be written exactly for the reason that it's not followed. As you just mentioned, oftentimes these bills, the language is there, but it's not followed. And if it's not written in the decision, you don't know whether they're enforcing it, you don't know what standard they're following, and also lawyers have a difficult time appealing these cases to the appeals court if there's not written conclusions. So that's one of the reasons why, to ensure that there are written conclusions. The timeline of 30 days is put on there to make sure that children don't get lost, because sometimes they get lost and nobody is actually keeping track of where they are in the system. So this year's version of this bill fixes some of the problems that were brought up last year, and we ask that you pass this bill. And I'm open for any questions.
I do have a question. What do you mean lost?
What time, Mr. Chairman?
You mean physically lost?
No, I mean that
Administratively.
administratively, the case does not move forward on the time span that is outlined in the statute because the paperwork just isn't followed up with.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So you talked about the paperwork not being followed up with. Would that be indicative of what we saw on the Auditor General's report, that a lot of the paperwork was not completed? Would you believe that that is a huge problem in regards to where these kids get lost?
Mr. Chair and Representative Fink, yes, it is part of the problem. After I quit practicing law, well, still practicing law, but representing these children, I was a CASA for a while. And what I found out as a CASA is that most attorneys don't go and ask for these records, and most attorneys don't follow these things. Because when I would go and ask for them as a CASA, they said, well, you're the first one that's ever come and asked for this. Well, that tells me that their attorneys were not properly representing them, because why hadn't they asked for it? So yes, that's what happens. The caseload, the churning number of workers, we know there's a big turnover in DCS, we know there's shortage of staff, all that, those things come together to let children get lost in the system.
Okay. And members, if you want to indulge me, Representative Hamilton, we kind of brought this up briefly last session. You mentioned it in a committee hearing we have. I am really, it's blowing my mind about the Black and Hispanic. I know we're going to do an in-depth study on that. Okay. This isn't the first time that I've heard this from different people. Can you, based on your experience, if you're willing, tell me what that looks like? If Black and Hispanic children are being targeted, because I don't want to lead to a conclusion that that's not factual, if you will, until we get a report from my colleague. But it's really bothering me that I'm hearing this from different people. We have someone to testify to that today, in the agency and outside of the agency. Can you kind of school me on that? Where are you seeing that?
Chair Blackman, yes, I did not bring that information with me today, but I have turned it over to Representative Fink. As I can remember correctly, the calls for, I don't remember off the top of my head without my paperwork, but I do have that.
Okay.
And I can supply it to you.
Okay, Representative Fink sent it to me. I'll review it.
Okay.
I just sent it to you.
Yeah, I'll review it this afternoon, and then we will probably ask you to come back and kind of speak to that. But I do appreciate you. I don't have any more questions at this time on that. Members, do you have any questions? Representative Hamilton, do you have any questions on this subject?
I do, but I don't know.
I'll send you what I have.
Right. I'm just wondering if, Mr. Chair, if I have questions for Diane, or if this is in the general discussion.
Okay,
So.
you got it.
Trying to figure out the right place.
You got it. That's why we'll call them back in a private meeting. We'll do it.
Well, no, I mean,
You mean?
general discussion on the bill.
Oh, no, we're in, we have any more speakers?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll bring it up during discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, we've
Yes,
known
we
each
do.
other for years. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
Okay, Jenny McCall.
Jenny McCall.
Is Jenny McCall here? Okay, then I have a Richland. Oh, how do you spell her last name? Is Richland here? Yes, there
There
we
she
go.
is, right there.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of HB 2035. My name is Richland Lachey Fox, and Zariah Dodd was my daughter in every sense. Zariah entered foster care at just 1 year old. Over her childhood, she experienced more than 20 placements. What she needed the most was HB 2035, helps prioritize what was early connection to safe family and meaningful relationships and stability once a connection is found. I met Zariah while working at a group home when she was 13 years old. In an effort to get her out of the congregate care and give her a real choice at normalcy, Zariah was placed with my mother and I moved in with my parents so I could help raise her day to day and keep her connected to people she trusted. Our family worked hard to give her consistency, support, and a real chance at healing. She was with us for nearly 2 years. I specifically asked DCS to keep Zariah placed with my family or with people she had a significant relationship with because I had serious safety concerns about her returning to a congregate care. We know that when children are moved repeatedly, it increases trauma and vulnerability, including vulnerability to exploitation and harm. After Zariah was removed from our stable family setting and returned to a congregate home, she became vulnerable in the home where she was groomed. Jarrell Davis was a 36-year-old adult who groomed her, impregnated her, and was later charged with her murder at a park. Zariah was a 16-year-old child who tragically lost her life. This is why HB 2035 matters. HB 2035 strengthens an expectation that the department must actively search for, identify, notify, and access relators and other significant adults early, and it increases documentation and court visibility when a child is not placed with kin or when a child is moved away from safe, stable family placement. It forces the system to answer the question that too often go unanswered. What did you do? Who did you contact? What did you do? Why wasn't kinship pursued or maintained? And what is the plan to reassess? No child like Zariah should have been raised by the state system for 15 long years. Children deserve family and permanency. Group homes are not a family setting. They are a modern-day orphanage. Kinship is not just a preference, it is protection. Zariah deserves stability, and she deserves to stay connected to safe family. I respectfully ask you to vote yes on HB 2035, so no more children are placed early with safe kin and caring adults, and so fewer children are lost after unnecessary disruptions. Thank you, and I'll be open to any questions.
Members, any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Richland, thank you for coming. I was there at the memorial for her, and I think I met you there, so I'm grateful for you coming and speaking to this. My concern is this, is that you asked DCS to keep her in your home. Did they give you a reason why they did not?
Zariah ended up running away with her groomer. And before that, she had did prior runaways. And it was told to her that if she did run away again, that they would pull the plug completely from us. Even if we decided to keep her, to keep letting her stay and giving her that option to be with the family. So they completely pulled the plug from us. And that's when they had first placed her in a group home in Mesa. They found out that she was pregnant by her groomer. And then they placed her in the group home that I forbid her to go, which was Sunshine Residential Homes. And that's when she ran away and was found in a park.
Mr. Chair, so you forbid them to put her in the Sunshine Residential? Is that what you stated?
Yes.
And why did you state that to DCS?
That is where I met Zariah when I was a house manager there. And I know as a house manager, I've seen things and heard things about Sunshine Residential, things that are inappropriate, things that should have never happened, staff that they have hired that should have never been hired. And I've also known that before Zariah, that there has been many kids that have run away and have been murdered. I know the last boy that died in Sunshine was because they did not give him his nighttime insulin. And so he died, which that was very close to me because my daughter is also a type 1 diabetes. And I know if I miss that Lantis at night, she will not be here.
Well, I'm just trying to think of another question here.
I have one.
Yeah, go ahead.
You were an employee at Sunshine?
Yes, sir.
Is there any type of record keeping, like a log, like at 5 p.m., the kids do this, or this child needs this, or they ate? Is there sort of any type of record keeping?
So at the end of my shift, I was supposed to type up a day by day from each child. So if I took them to school, that was typed up. If I took them to an appointment, that was typed up as well. Also, bed checks, room checks. My concern with Zariah was the night that she ran away. I don't understand how the call that was made at 12 o'clock that she was missing, how it was made at 12 o'clock when her curfew was at 10 o'clock. So in my head, you didn't do your bed check, because if you did your bed check, you would have known at 10 o'clock she was missing and not at 12.
And where do those records go? Once you fill them out, do they go, who gets the records?
The front office get the records, the main office get those records. We submit them to a head email, and they get those records.
So do they go to DCS, or do they go to the group home
Just
owners?
the group home.
Goes to the group home
Just the group,
owners.
I don't believe all of those records went to DCS, because if it did, then I don't even believe if they did, something would have happened.
Okay. Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Well, I think the state
Yeah,
is also.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the work that you do and for sharing this very sad story. I'm just trying to think about process. And typically, it's my understanding that children, the process in Arizona is that children, kinship care is always the first option. Looking for kin, trying to get a child placed with family. It is my understanding that DCS prefers family for the care. How is it that if she had kin around, she ended up in congregate care?
Zariah got placed.
Go through the chair, please.
Oh,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman,
Representative
Representative
Stahl.
Stahl Hamilton. Zariah was placed in care at 1 year old, but she was in and out of care. So she got placed in care and then back to family, placed in care and back to family. The last result that ended her back in DCS was when they found Zariah walking around a Punching Junction, going door to door asking for food because her mother left her in a home by herself to care for her baby brother. So between there, they completely stopped relation with bio family, and Zariah was then placed in a group home. Multiple homes after that. I stated she was in 20 homes. So she was in and out for the remainder of her life until she passed at 16. Now she got with me at 13, and she was stable for 2.5 years.
Follow up, Mr. Chair?
Please.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And you may not know the answer to this, and that's okay. Did she have other family? Because it sounds like mom had a lot of challenges, and so mom wasn't the safe person for her. Did she have other family members in Arizona to go to?
Thank you for the question. So rights was determined,
Go
snatched.
through the chair, please.
I'm sorry, Chairman
okay.
and Representative Stahl Hamilton. Rights were snatched from Zariah's family, but yes, she did have bio family here in Arizona. To be honest with you, I've never seen her family until the day of her service.
Okay, thank you. I know I'm sorry to hear, Mr. Chair. Thank you, and I'm really sorry to hear that news, and it sounds like she was really lucky to have you in her life.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and our heart goes out to you. The whole state was affected by that, if you will. Thank you. Anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. And if you've never testified before, I understand it could be kind of nerve-wracking, all right? So I'm trying to be as soft touch. Some of the lobbyists know how to do it, so I'll get kind of tough with them. But
Mr. Chair, Diane Post has an answer to Stahl Hamilton's question, if that's okay.
Ms. Post, she has an answer to your question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to answer the question that you asked. I believe it was last summer or maybe last fall when I assisted a woman, she found an attorney, I didn't represent her, but I assisted her in going to court. She was the aunt of 2 boys who were in foster care. I believe they were in a group home. 2 boys, one black and they were African Americans. She came over here from California. She was a professional woman. She had her own business. She had money. She was certified under California to take the children. California, she had already contacted the California, DCS people, and she was certified to take the children. She went to court and offered as a kin to take the children. The judge told her she had no right to be there. DCS had said no to her. They didn't contact her. She contacted them when she found out through other family members that the boys had been put in a foster home. So she physically drove here 3 times. The court let her visit with them in court. When she did come to court to a hearing, she got an attorney to argue her case that with the kin care preference, she should be able to take them to California. And between DCS and the court, they did not let her. The court told her, you have no right to intervene in this case at all, period. Now, this is a reason for having written findings, because if the court had to put that in the written findings, the lawyer would have a good case to appeal. But without it, we don't.
So was DCS following the instructions of the court? Like, so
They-
the judge makes a decision,
No.
and that were they following those instructions that the judge gave them?
No, they suggested she not have the children. And when I actually talked to, I don't even remember who I talked to somebody, it was too much of a bother to have to coordinate with California DCS.
Okay, so it was a,
And the judge followed DCS and DC, you know, so it was a interlocking system.
and when was this again?
Probably last summer or early fall.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Actually, Representative.
I'm sorry, Representative.
Yeah, no, that's all right. Thank you, Mr.
I
Chair.
was just trying to.
So, Diane, so I think that goes back to my earlier question. This sounds like story that incredibly frustrating, something that you have worked on, but I want to go back to what the rules are, what the procedure is, what's the protocol, what is in statute, what is in DCS's handbook about kinship care and children who don't, for whatever reason, aren't in kinship care and get placed into congregate care. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Mr. Chair, Representative Stahl Hamilton, the rules say, and this includes the rules of DCS, that they must search for kin.
That's what the rules say.
That's what the rules say, but they don't. But it does say they must.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Chair.
And there's a 30-day timeline on searching for kin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Follow up?
Please.
Okay. Diane, so the rules say we go to kinship care first. Why do children who have kin available end up in group homes, congregate care?
Mr. Chair, Representative Stahl Hamilton, sometimes they don't search. Sometimes the kin are not capable or willing to take care of them. Those are the three reasons I know of. But many times, and that is not the only time that I have had a person come to me, particularly during the years 20 years when I was representing NAACP, come to me and say that they had offered as kin and were not accepted. That is not the first instance, it's the last instance, but not the first.
I want to tread this lightly. I don't want to make false accusations against anyone, and I want to make sure that that's clear, because unless there is something in writing that says that an agency or a judge or a representative of those agencies is doing this, I want to tread lightly on that, because again, this could be happening and it could be a systemic problem. So I just want to make sure that we are, as a chairman, it's my responsibility to make sure that those accusations are, if they are true, that they are able to be proven and confirmed. So I appreciate that information.
Yes, I think Mr. Chair, I think that I can find her. I keep track of all of that
Please.
stuff. So I'll see if I can find her, contact her in California and see
Thank
if
you.
she's willing to.
To come to our
talk.
meeting. Thank you so
Okay.
much. We appreciate, and please leave your contact information with us so we can.
I have it.
You have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I know Jennifer Mosier also said she had an answer to this as well. Is that okay?
Please. Yes.
Yeah.
Members, is that okay? Okay.
Yep, I think so.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
representatives, it's 8-514. The statute that you're asking about, it's ARS 8-514, and it reads as follows: the department shall place a child in the least restrictive type of placement available. And it goes in order then from parent to grandparent, and then it says kinship care with another member of the child's extended family, including a person who has a significant relationship with the child, a foster parent, or kinship caregiver with whom a child is under 3 years old of age and has resided for 9 months or more, is presumed to be a significant relationship. Now, I am paraphrasing, but if you're telling me that a foster placement is equal to me as an aunt, for instance, that's absurd. And yet I have a story similar to Diane's. I have a lady who came from California, and when she expressed a little bit of her characteristic neuroticism, because she wasn't super popular with the department, she questioned about the pool gate. She wasn't sure she could afford it. And you never say no to the department. I always tell my clients, don't say no. You say yes, and then say how high. Because if you say no one time, you are losing that kid as a family member. You are losing them. So I have had a client who lost her niece. They were Vietnamese, and they lost their niece because she was placed with kinship placement, or not kinship, I'm sorry, a substantial relationship in a foster home. You also asked about statutes earlier. I have a ProPublica article that I've actually just sent to Representative Fink, Mr. Chair. And the data says that in Maricopa County, a study from 2021 estimated that 63% of Black children will experience an investigation. So to this point, that is, I mean, I've got the data. I can back it up and I can provide it to you.
Thank you so much.
That's insane. We have a system where if the department, Mr. Chair, does not like you, if the department finds you to be a problem, if the judge sides with the department, it is under so much discretion. So those, to Diane's point, those rulings of just exactly what the court found, what this statute does is still not going to be enough because they're going to find a way around it, but at least it gives me a clearer path to appeal.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Mr. Chair.
appreciate that.
And then I have, Veronica was going to give Annika's testimony, if you could come on up.
Good afternoon again, Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Veronica Branscombe, and I was a court-appointed special advocate in Maricopa County, where I served as an independent voice focused solely on the best interest of children. I'm here today in support of House Bill 2035. When a child is removed from their home, even for safety reasons, the removal is very traumatic. In those moments, one of the most protective factors we can provide is the continuity of relationships. Children experience safety through familiarity. A relative who knows their history, their routines, their culture, and even their story. House Bill 2035 prioritizes safe and appropriate kinship placement and requires early, meaningful efforts to identify and notify relatives and other trusted adults, the kinship. It ensures that family options are not overlooked and strengthens accountability through documentation and court findings. Trauma is not only what happens to a child, it is also the separation from everything that they have known. While kinship care doesn't erase the trauma of removal, it does protect connection, belonging, and consistency, which are critical for healing. For these reasons, I respectfully ask for your support for HB 2035. Thank you for your time and your commitment to Arizona's children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
I have a question. So,
You-
and Mrs. Robinson had to leave, and I have hers. Will I be able to read hers for her?
You can submit it for that.
Yeah, you can submit it for the record.
Submit it for
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I have
Go get that.
Lori Ford.
Chair Blackman, committee members, my name is Lori Ford, and I'm with the AZDCS Oversight Group. Yes, on this bill 2035. And yes, we are aware that kinship placement is supposed to be in DCS's path, but it is not. They have one person that is out looking for kinship or family placements. They had a new department a couple of years ago pop up in there, and I believe it's one person doing that. The other thing is, as with DCS, this needs to be followed up on. You can't just say you have to do this and they do it. You know, there's statutes right now that they're breaking and nothing's being done about it, and this has been a continuation of years and years and years. I do want to give Representative Stahl-Hamilton a little bit of information as far as kinship. DCS is, kinship, if a child goes to kinship, say, you know, my granddaughter came to me.
30 seconds.
And I didn't want to take any money from anybody. DCS says, no, you have to go through the fostering training so they can then get money for that. People that come forward, kinship, grandparents, family members say, hey, I'll take them. And DCS is like, no, you got to go through this first, and you got to do this because we need our money.
Time.
And that's the bottom line as far as kinship. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, anybody?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Let's see, we've had already several. I'll call one more, and then we're going to go on to the next bill, or we'll go through and go to the next one. Melinda Sherwin?
She's not here,
Huh? Oh, okay.
I am an ADA advocate, so I am in the courts as a court watcher and as an ADA advocate for parents who are they have such PTSD that they can hardly speak. They're either a deer in the headlights or they have overproductive speech. In any case, they need to have someone with them, so I'm there. And I have so many cases that parents and grandparents have given me permission, and I have documents that prove what I'm saying. This what happened to Zariah happened to Jacob in the same group home. His grandmother asked for custody. If Jacob was a 9-year-old diabetic, he survived exactly 18 days in Sunrise, and then he was dead because of their absolute criminal negligence. And although it's famous for having been awarded a $400,000 contract, that place, I have been in legislative meetings where a woman came to the legislature. She worked for Sunrise, and she was reviving overdosed children in bathtubs there with no help.
30 seconds.
For parents and grandparents, mandates absolute priority for biological and deep documented long-standing bonds requires rigorous due process for any separation, isolation, or change in custody placement. When I have grandparents who have filed something called a motion to intervene, and then
Time.
and then they have stood by the car when DCS comes to seize their grandchildren, and they're standing there with the car seat, the food, and the bottles.
Okay, thank you.
It's absolutely.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. We've got all of those that we need to move on for these other bills. So anyway, let me move, let's see here. So I guess I'm the chair. So members, the motion before you is that House Bill 2035 be returned with the due pass recommendations. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Gillette,
Aye.
Representative Marquez, Representative Stahl Hamilton, Representative Villegas,
Oops, I got some.
Ms. Vice Chair?
Yes.
You know, the fact that this is already in statute it bothers me that we're having to, vote on a bill that's already in statute. So I have concerns with that. And also, I was really hoping to hear from the director of DCS today. So because of that, I'm gonna vote no today, because I'm not there yet.
Okay.
Representative Wade. Representative Stahl Hamilton.
Madam Vice Chair.
Yes.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I missed my colleague's vote explanation and perhaps any conversation. I know that last year, House Bill 2671, and that was the question I wanted to ask you, Madam Vice Chair, was heard, and I was just curious about the differences between the two policy. I think this bill is very, very similar to that. And that bill was vetoed last year with an explanation that this is already in state statute. It was already in state statute. And so something that DCS already does, so that it was legislation that was just unnecessary because it was duplicating what was already there. I wanted to tease out the differences between this bill and 2671 in order to understand the differences, to see if we are actually repeating. So for now, I'm going to be a no and reserve my right to change my vote on the floor.
Okay. And in response to your, what's the differences, we actually went through with the governor's office in regards to the kinship bill. So we strengthened it. And for example, we have here, extended family member means an adult person who has a connection to a child by marriage to a biological family member of the child. Also, the written documentation as to why that kinship was not granted. So those are some of the tweaks that we did there. But again, we were working with the governor's office on that.
Vice Chairman Fink.
Aye.
Chairman Blackman.
Yes.
To do 449 because one person who still has to go.
449.
Yeah.
Members, with your votes of 4 ayes, 2 nays, 1 absent, you have given HB 2035 a due pass. Next bill, please. Madam Vice, please move HB 4049.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 4049 be returned with a due pass recommendation.
Staff, please explain the bill.
Mr. Chair, members, House Bill 4049 authorizes the Arizona Department of Child Safety to employ legal counsel, make an expenditure, or incur an indebtedness for legal services. Mr. Chair, there is an amendment I can explain.
Madam Vice, please move the amendment.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Fink Amendment dated February 18, 2026 at 2:27 p.m. be adopted.
Staff.
The Fink Amendment dated February 18, 2026 at 2:27 p.m. asserts that the Attorney General or appointed counsel must represent the state's interests, not DCS as a client, in certain proceedings in which there are certain credible allegations against DCS or their agent. It also directs that the Attorney General or appointed counsel to conduct an independent review of the record and advise the court of legal assessment in such cases. Further, the amendment states that the Attorney General or appointed counsel is not subject to direction, retaliation, or adverse employment action by DCS for taking a position inconsistent with DCS's recommendation in such cases. With that, I'm available for questions.
Any questions? The chair's over there, so I'm covering for him. If not, then we'll, I am the sponsor of the bill. I had seen where there's concerns about DCS decisions that were arguably in violation of either DCS law or policies. And as I spoke with various stakeholders, it became clear that maybe there's also a problem as well. The AG represents the DCS, and my understanding this creates kind of a client-attorney privilege relationship where the client can, tell the attorney what needs to be done. The AG is also tasked with enforcing state laws. What happens when there's a difference of opinion between the client and the attorney? And usually, it's what the client wants is how things move forward. So this bill seeks to change a little bit the structure to allow the AG have independence to enforce Title VIII laws. In addition, the amendment ensures that Title VIII is being followed with any counsel, whether it be the AG or with other counsel. So if that, I am open to questions. And if not, Jennifer Mosier, if you'll come up, you're signed in for this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Representative Fink. When I represent a client in court, I have to take my client's request for what they want to see happen in the case, and I have to weigh that against my ethical duty to the court. As an attorney, I have an ethical duty to the court that is actually higher than my ethical duty to my client, in that I cannot allow a client to lie to the court. However, what I see happen in DCS cases is, unfortunately, I do see mistruths perpetuate, and by locking DCS in with the Attorney General and making it impossible for the Attorney General and DCS to separate in terms of representation, or for the attorney to tell the court when the client is perpetuating a lie or something that is a fraud upon the court, that actually, it doesn't honor our role as attorneys, as officers of the court. So this bill, if passed, would allow for the truth to prevail to the court even when a client wants to perpetuate a lie. It also frees DCS to seek its own counsel and to seek the counsel that will best advocate for the department. And I'm not saying the department doesn't do terrific work at times. I'm sure it does. However, I'm on the side where I'm constantly trying to return children of parents who, in my opinion, have not done anything that merits having their child removed. I wouldn't otherwise represent them because, again, as an attorney, I'm required to tell the court the truth. So I have to go to the court with my client's position in hand, and I have to know that my client hasn't done something so violative that it would merit me taking a position contrary to my client. In this situation that I frequently am with opposing DCS, I do see that DCS caseworkers will start a narrative, and they will continue the narrative in that ex parte report that the DCS caseworker, the client, files every single time before a hearing, and that narrative gets perpetuated. When an attorney learns that there is a mistruth in that report, this statute, as amended, will allow for the attorney to say, this is a problem, judge. Because our court systems, if they're not pure, if they're not as pure as possible, what do we have as a democracy? We have to have judges who have the truth, and the statute allows for it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, just real quick on the question there. So with this, you say that it will actually help out in allowing the AG and the DCS, both that client relationship, attorney relationship, will free up the AG hopefully to let DCS know, hey, this is not against the law, not going along with that client-attorney privilege. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, Representative Fink, that is exactly what I would advocate, that by allowing for the Attorney General to have the freedom to say, this is my true opinion about your case or about your conduct, you should deviate or you should chart your course differently. If DCS doesn't like that advice, like any other client, like any client I represent, my clients can just fire me and they can go somewhere else. A company like, Enron could have fired its attorneys. You've got huge conglomerates, governmental entities that can fire their attorneys. Why should DCS not be able to contract with outside counsel that they too can terminate when they find that the relationship is not necessarily yielding the most honest result for the court that an attorney can perpetuate?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And your testimony is extremely helpful. We do appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the opportunity.
Okay.
Thank you. I also have Lori Ford.
Ms. Ford.
Chair Blackman, committee members, my name is Lori Ford, and I'm with the AZDCS Oversight Group. The Attorney General's office should not be representing DCS in anything, and they should not be investigating DCS. There's a huge conflict of interest there. If something goes awry with DCS, it's the Attorney General's hand that goes up and go, well, we'll investigate them, we'll investigate them. DCS is their client. Also, because of DCS being the Attorney General's client, the public sentiment and trust in the Attorney General's office is below ground level because of that. Back in 2024, there was a Court of Appeals case. It is Division 1, JV 24-0061. This had to do with civil rights violations of DCS not providing due process to parents by handing over especially exculpatory evidence. So you have an Attorney General's office that knew about all of that, and they did nothing. They didn't correct their client to say, hey, what's going on here? Parents have exculpatory evidence that you have, but you're not allowing that into court. So there needs to be a complete separation between the Attorney General's office and DCS. DCS should be able to get their own attorneys. Or, we have a director that was the general counsel for DCS for 13 years. And she did nothing to rectify
I like
the
that
atrocities.
idea. Can we reschedule another meeting with you on that last point you made about the separation of attorneys?
Absolutely.
You're awesome.
I'm available.
Thank you. And thanks for your work in this,
Yes.
in this space. We do appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, we have one more. Jana Bentley. For the record, did you fill out one of these forms? Because I didn't see.
No, I
Okay,
did not.
so after you finish, if you could fill one of
Sure.
those out. Okay.
Thank you. So my name is Jenna Bentley. I'm a concerned citizen, Mr. Chair, and thank you for this time. I'm just going to give a little personal experience in support of this bill, House Bill 4049. I'll spare the details of the story that aren't relevant to this bill, but I found myself in a situation where my husband and I were pressing charges against the state due to some really constitutional rights that were violated. And in a meeting with the Attorney General's office, the lawyer they presided that represents DCS, we're in this situation, which I can just tell you is I'd like to just make a caveat really quick in reference to what this lawyer said. I don't know if ethnicity is as important as just a full-out power struggle when it comes to DCS deciding they have a decision they want to make about your child. Obviously, I'm Caucasian, right? But I found myself, I'm in a position where I can hire a lawyer, and I can spend lots of money to do it, which is the only reason why I have my child. The end. And that's not how we want our justice system to be. So in effort to help those who couldn't, we put this lawsuit against the state. That was our main motive, is a voice that could be loud enough, knowing we were fighting a battle we probably would not win. The Attorney General, or the lawyer who was representing him that day, made this exact statement to my husband and I as we were in a briefing trying to settle outside of a court trial. And he said, "Oh, we've done way worse than this. There's no way we're going down with your case."
Who said that?
It was the lawyer representing DCS. And so this is the point, the case in point is he's supposed to be working for the children, not for a company, not for DCS, which is what it felt like. And so for this reason, it only makes logical sense that there's a representation separate for both DCS and for the child. It cannot be our Attorney General's office and still be just. And so for that reason, I'm in support of this bill and just ask you to consider I'm someone who can fight it.
Thank you.
So many cannot.
Thank you so much. Questions, members?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
So with that, okay, so you were trying to settle out of court, make sure I understand. You're trying to settle out of court, and you were speaking with the DCS lawyer, and they said, no, we're not going to settle out of court because we've done.
No, you make an agreement, like if you take a civil suit to the Attorney General, to them, right? So this was a decision to handle it this way, and then give it to the judge, and he or she makes their decision outside of an official trial. So it's just the way it's handled. You meet, you're interviewed, you're kind of had this, I don't even know the formal word, I'm so sorry that I haven't been in too many legal proceedings, but it's like a deposition almost. They take you, you feel completely beat up, you know, they grill you, and this is how it does. They record it, and then all the information is given to the judge who'll make her decision. So that's what I was in that moment when he said that, which broke my heart. So thinking how many children have that to fight against, or families have that to face in order to have justice found and fought for.
Thank you. And you were able to get your children back to you?
So my story, I could tell you another day. My children weren't taken only because I know lawyers, only because I can pay them.
Okay.
That's
Well,
it.
Thank you for the testimony and your care for these kids in this program.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. Members, the motion before you is that the...
Are there any discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, yeah, you did want to do discussion on this. Go ahead, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. I think just a couple of points of clarification. When it comes to the Attorney General's office, there are several divisions. There is one division that is the civil and criminal litigation and advice section that represents all of the administrative stuff. But when it comes, and a whole other things relating to MOUs, the tribes, advice on policy, there is the liability management section within the state government division that handles the cases when the Attorney General's office is sued directly. And I think with all of that, you've got 125 lawyers and 140 staff members. So there's a lot of folks at the AG's office, so it's not just the Attorney General that does all of this. There are different departments that handle these things. The benefit to keeping this in-house, I shouldn't say in-house because that's the wrong term, but keeping this with the AG's office where it resides in statute right now, is that there is consistency. You don't have different agencies, you don't have different lawyers, you don't have paperwork being lost in the shuffle. You've got the different departments, and we know how to keep things separate when they need to be separate. We do it around here all the time. And so you've got it within administrative code and policy. These people are trained, they know these things happen, they know when it's necessary to show up and how they need to represent. So I think for me, I see that as a positive and not a conflict of interest. The departments are designed to handle this. I think moving to a different system, I think that leaves us with two options. One is the attorneys representing DCS get brought into the county attorney's office, which leads to all kinds of shifts and changes. I think that also lends potential for conflict because that's where the parent and children's representation agencies such as legal defender and public advocates are. So that is less easy to keep neat and separate. While you have each county running the programs, I think would be very difficult to keep things consistent and to keep communications open. And certainly I think quality of service will vary between county to county. The second option would be you bring the attorneys and staff in-house, which that's why I corrected myself, because the in-house then reduces the accountability. Right now, there are different divisions, they're not in-house. If we were to bring them in-house, you reduce accountability. There would definitely be, you wouldn't have the transparency and the oversight that is already there, and it really would disrupt the checks and balances that we have right now with the different departments with the AG. I guess I throw that all up there, Mr. Chair, as concerns, and perhaps a moment to just pause if we are wanting to shift things out of the AGO where we have it now.
So my thought on that, and I appreciate your comments, whenever I tell my kids to clean their room, I don't tell them to go back and check it. I know there are checks and balances there. However, sometimes checks and balances that we have in place through policy are not being followed. And in this case, it appears that the protections that we have in place, the checks and balances, are not being followed. Maybe it's because of policy that is not being followed out. I'm not an attorney, so I don't know how they go about proceeding. However, what I do know for sure, the policy is there, is not working. I know that. So again, not placing blame or fingers, this legislation is designed to take another look at that, because maybe that's what is needed. It could be in conjunction. You know?
Sorry,
Go ahead, please.
No, I was waiting for you to be done. And I always get yelled at for not talking to the mic, so it's kind of.
Please, I yield to Representative Gillette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we're missing the point here. These bills are not designed to work in conjunction with the current system, because the current system is absolutely broken. So I'm going to read from you the Arizona Department of Child Safety policy letter that states, DCS staff shall understand and respect the varying roles of all parties to a legal action that affects DCS cases. But then in the rules, it says the Attorney General's office, that means every office inside the Attorney General, is responsible for representing DCS, DCS actions, Assistant Attorney Generals, Protective Services on the behalf of DCS. I think that's what this bill gets to. They are charged by law and by rule to represent DCS, not the parents. So I'm the Attorney General representing DCS. I take one of my employees, hey, go represent the parents. Is that due process? The system is structurally broke, and I believe the intent of the bill is to change that structure, because that's what needs to be fixed. It's not an indictment of the Attorney General. It's not an indictment of any of her programs. It's saying you can't serve two masters. That's it. We're making something out of nothing here. It is structurally broke, and it needs to be changed.
And to that point, when I started this endeavor, I made it clear that we are going to shake up the system. And when I say systemic problems, we're talking decades of the same policies going forth without changing those policies, other than putting more policies on top of policies that are not working. And as my colleague has said so elegantly, these policies are meant to change the policies. So,
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, very quickly, to demonstrate your point,
Okay.
and to let Representative Stahl Hamilton know, this policy shall take effect 1 July 2022. It's a revised policy from November 30th, August 2009. It hasn't been changed since. It's time to change the policy. Regardless of any question, the policy is broken. It should be changed.
Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I want to go back to, should a seismic shift happen, one of the things that we also need to factor in, where does the civil and criminal litigation and advice CLAs, where do they and the liability management section go? Where do they go? They are the ones that provide advice at a higher level, but if we're shifting the section, where would these attorneys be housed, and who would supervise them for pulling them out of house? Who's good? I'm not out of house, out of the agency, and to send them. Who's going to supervise them? The liability and management section is involved in complex civil litigation for DCS. Moving LMS into DCS would be extremely cost prohibitive for the department. All of this shifts, we've got to figure out what would the structure look like, where are they going to be housed, who is going to pay for all of this, and in the meantime, who's taking on all of this stuff? It's a pretty seismic shift, and I think I have some real concerns about this legislation upending things without a plan in place, a transition in place, and no funding. In fact, we probably should order a fiscal note on this to understand how much this would cost.
One is ordered in this capacity, and I don't want to speak for the sponsor. I'll let the sponsor yield to your.
Yeah, so, Mr. Chair, Representative Stahl Hamilton, I've kind of been trained to look for kind of root causes. Where's the root cause? Because sometimes you can do things, here or there, and it doesn't really change. And so as I was going through, as we hear a lot about the problems with DCS and the AGs and parents' rights being violated, it seemed to be that this, this being the only relationship of representation was a problem because of the attorney-client privilege. But also just to let you know, the Department of Child Safety they're not the only entity. As you look here right now in statute, anyway, that no state agency other than the Attorney General shall employ legal counsel or make an expenditure to incur an indemnity. And it includes 11 other entities. And now it says that, so that gives some freedom actually to DCS to be able to go outside the Attorney General's office as well. So, and they already, my understanding, from what I understood, is that DCS already pays and does kind of the intergovernmental agreement to retain services from the AG's office. So there's already money there for their representation.
And then again, as I started out, this is a group effort that involves your ideals, your recommendations to build on this and to fix this. However, what I will not do is just continue to do the same thing over and over and over that is just not working. This is not what this committee is about, doing the same thing, because you and I have been down here for some time. This system has been going on for decades, and I believe that each legislature, when they get this problem, we put a Band-Aid on it, we put a new set of policy on it, and I agree with you, we need to have contingencies to fill these gaps. And that's why I am leaning on my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, if you have ideals, to bring those ideals to us so we can collectively get this fixed. But doing the same thing is not what I am going to do. That is not my intent of this committee. We need to have legislation and policies that are going to stick, that may ruffle the system, uproot the system. However, we've been doing that for decades, and it's just not working. So any ideas you have, my door is always open. And you have some good ideas because you are very smart. So we can work this, we can fix this. But we have to think outside the box, and we have to stop thinking the way that prior legislative bodies have been doing in prior stakeholder meetings and group meetings. We have to think outside the box on this, and it's going to make some things, agencies or folks, uncomfortable. That's just my position on it, and that's the direction I'm taking. Yes. Do you want me or am I in trouble?
I just want to add, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I totally agree that we have a lot of issues with DCS, not directly with DCS, or maybe directly with DCS, but if I remember one of the early meetings, I believe Mr. Gillette, you were the only one that actually went into the department and you talked to the director and talked to the employees, and you came back to us and you said that it seemed, after everything that you saw, that that they did have the procedures and that they were sound, and that possibly there was a lack of staffing, a lack of funding. Those are the issues that I thought we were going to look at, you know, as far as if they do have the correct procedures in place and they are sound, then we just need to figure out where the disconnect is and go from there. And I don't know, I missed a couple of meetings, maybe it was discussed, but I just feel that, you know, we've gone through so much as a country, as a state, with the drug epidemic, the poverty. There are a lot of children out there that that have a lot of trauma and that have a lot of needs, and we are, as Chair Blackman said, we're trying to fix everything without really understanding where it's really broken, you know? So I believe that.
Excuse me, I know where it's broken.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, it is.
So I don't, with all due respect, I don't think I made that statement. I said, we know where the broken pieces are. I know it's broken, and I'm sorry, I do apologize, but continue, please.
Yeah, no, I mean, the first meeting Mr. Chair, the first meeting that I went to, I said, we have to look at the system. The system seems to be broken.
Yep.
And so we do have to look at those things. But we also have to support our staff, and we have to support the department in you know, they have the tools. And again, I go back to Mr. Gillette's comment at that meeting where he said that the procedures are there and that they were sound. And so, we can't fix it in one meeting. We can't fix it with one bill. There's a lot of work to be done, and I believe that we need to make sure that the director is part of that solution as well. And so I don't know how often that you have met with her.
To that point, I just met with the director outside during
Good.
this hearing. To the point, I've also met with the director in her office about this. To that point, I have talked to the department. I don't do anything half-heartedly.
Mr. Chair.
Please, can I finish?
Yes, sir.
Because at the end of the day, it's about these kids to me, and they are to you as well. So if we have to blow the system up to protect the kids, then that's what we've got to do while we're protecting these kids. Because for too long, for decades, I have heard the argument that we need to protect the system. The system is broken. The system is the Titanic. After it had hit the iceberg, it is sinking, not because of staff, not because of the director, not because of the well-intended employees. It is the systemic problems that we are addressing. That's why I am saying to my colleagues on the other side, instead of saying that this is broken, which we already know, I am asking for recommendations to fix the systemic problems, not to talk about what is already broken and that we know. I am begging you to bring those recommendations so we can add those to this legislation, so collectively that we are fixing them and going to your concerns.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I respond to the statements?
Yes.
Thank you. You stated incorrectly of my statement over the summer. I agree with what Chairman Blackman said. We deduced over the summer that the entire system is broken. What I said, I believe the laws that we have passed in this body over the last few years are adequate and good to protect children. But I also said the policies, procedures, and contracts are written in a manner to circumvent the laws that we have passed. We do have a law saying that you'll find kinship care first. You just heard testimony, somebody was transferred to 20 group homes, 20 group homes. So was that law, you're telling me in this child's entire life they couldn't find a family member? We did the work. Here are the receipts that you asked for. There's 400 pages there of contracts, rules, violations of federal law, and you mischaracterized what I said. What I said was, no, you did, ma'am, you did. I never said the policies were accurate. I never said they were good. I said the laws that we passed in this body. Now, if you want to continue on, 2022, 25 kids dead in DCS custody. 23, 19. 24, 14. 25, we're at 13. 26, we're still counting those numbers. So I don't want to hear that it's going to be hard, or we need a budget, or we need more people. We need to systemically destroy the entire system and rebuild 3 separate entities. We shall not have social workers adjudicating crime and investigating crime. That's for law enforcement. If a social worker places a child, it can't be to open bed space. The question was asked earlier, I didn't want to open the can of worms, but why do they go to congregate care? Because they're worth between $44,000 and $69,000 a child to go to congregate care. Do they get that money in placement of families? They do not. But Sunshine and the other congregate care homes get between $44,000 and $69,000 a child. If you want to look that up, you can certainly do so in the budget book. And I thought the committee over the summer, just as Chairman Blackman charged us with finding the systemic problems and the root causes and passing bills to break those root causes down. Now, one of the root causes that we have found in this bill, and I'm keeping it to this bill, and we can prove without a doubt, even with the latest report that just came out yesterday, that I'm sure you have not read, that says they're in violation of their own policy. We passed a law, parents complained, they said, no, we don't have that policy. This report says different. It says, no, you made the policy, you're in violation of the policy, you screwed this family over. And you want to talk to us after all summer in these meetings, mischaracterize my statements, and you want to talk to us about it's going to be hard, or maybe we need to give them more money or more staff. No one ever mentioned that. We talked about changing the entire structure of what they are doing, how they are doing it, and you come here today and vote no on every bill, and you have a problem with every bill because it's uncertain.
To that point,
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if we're going to air this out, we're going to air it right now.
Sure.
It's going to get
We were
updated.
never asked to bring our people to any of these meetings. We were never given materials before the meetings. We had to show up and listen and think on the fly, getting reports the night before after we've been in committee 2 days in a row, some days as long as 14 hours, does not give us ample time. And you're asking us to be a part of the solution when we are getting the information after the fact. And I had to give my bill away in order to get it heard. I have been asking and begging, and all I get is, you need to work harder.
May I respond?
I would be happy for you to respond.
Ranking member, did I ask you, invite you to these stakeholder meetings?
I was invited to the stakeholder
Did you
meetings.
attend?
I attended when I could attend.
Thank you very much.
And if I may,
No. Wait, please. Wait. So you invoked on the chairman of this committee that you were not invited. You were not invited, but your ranking member was invited. Your ranking member made a decision, I don't know what the decision was, not to attend. So that's a discussion between your caucus.
that's not true. That's not true.
Were you invited?
I was invited, and so was my, and you kept making sure that we didn't have a quorum, so we had to make sure that only one of us could come, or two of us, and, so there were a lot of different conversations with that.
Mr. Chair,
And
slight
I
correction.
always, excuse me.
Okay, hold on.
Excuse me.
Let's calm down our
I'm correcting
tempers.
the record.
Excuse me.
I'm correcting the record. Point of order.
Okay, please.
On the point of order being made on correction of the record, when the ranking member or the other members did not attend, I distinctly remembered their staff recording and attending the meeting and interacting with us.
Did you,
I-
to that, did you go to your staff and get that information from your staff that recorded the meeting?
Yes, and
And
Mr.
then
Chair.
based on that,
Mr. Chair?
I am speaking. Based on that, did you have ample opportunity to address these questions that you are bringing up today as the ranking member to the chair?
Mr. Chair, we never did meet again after that, you and I. You never asked me for a meeting, so no,
I think we're missing the
didn't.
point here.
It doesn't, may I? May
Yes,
I?
ma'am.
Okay. First of all, I didn't really intend for anybody to get defensive about my comment. I actually asked for the minutes of that meeting, and what I said was what was in the meeting, in the minutes, so I do apologize for your defensiveness. That was not my intent.
Yes, ma'am.
My intent was just to let you know where I was feeling that we are jumping into trying to pass bills when I don't even know about the report that was dropped last night. I didn't get it. So I don't know where, I don't feel that I have enough information. And again, I really wanted the director to be here because I had questions for the director.
Okay.
And yet, that's the main, that's the person that runs this department, and they should be part of this.
So the director is part of this because they will be coming to our next, she is testifying at our next meeting. We sent her an invite to testify at our next meeting. This special was about the DCS policies and legislation. I can't, when we're talking about public testimony, that's their freedom of speech to say whatever they want.
Absolutely.
Now, but this session is about policy because the system is broke. Not blaming the director, not blaming the folks that work there, and I definitely respect my colleagues from the other side. However, when you say that you were not invited to take place,
I never
or
said
not, when you say that you didn't have the opportunity to take place
say that either.
in some of these meetings,
To that point,
didn't
point
say
of
that.
clarification, Mr. Chair.
yeah, please clarify what I'm saying.
Yeah, what I said was, we were not invited to bring our people.
You did bring your people, your staff was there.
No, sir, Mr. Chair, please. What I meant was, when we attended these meetings, you all set the agenda.
Yes.
You all brought the people that you had been working with. We were never given the opportunity to go and talk to, perhaps, you had lawyers that you had spoken with, you had care groups that you had spoken with. You set the agenda. It was never communicated. I shouldn't say never. It was not communicated to me that I had any option to bring outside people into the conversation.
Okay.
There was no agenda setting with our side. It just felt like you were gonna do it, you were checking to see if we were on board, but it didn't feel like, and you come to us and you say, well, we want your ideas, but our ideas were not introduced in the beginning.
All right, this is a dead horse, and I'm going to say this one last time. You were given the opportunity. Your ranking member was given the opportunity, number one. Number two, your staff was there. Number three, it is not my responsibility to do the work of your staff to get people here. That is not my job. And I respect my colleagues on the other side of the aisle tremendously, and you know that. This is not about the picking and choosing or who brought what. This is not what I am looking at this about. I value your input tremendously. I value that. And I value your input tremendously. This is not about me. This is not about a Republican Party, a Democrat Party. This is about the kids in this state being, being abused. And we have a responsibility to fix this if we can. And as a leader, I am responsible for moving forward to get this thing going and to bringing my team, which you are part of, along. Now, being a leader is not always popular, and not everybody's going to like the decisions I make as chairman of this committee. And I see you don't now. However, I have to lead, and I am going to lead. If you all want to come along with me, and that's both sides of the aisle, you are more than welcome to come along with me, but I am going to lead. I know, but let's do this together. I am asking you, let's do this together. I'm asking you, and I am begging you. And I've never begged in public to anyone. I am begging you to do this with me. You know me. You've known me for years. We can save some lives, even if it's just one. But we can't do it if we are butting heads up here. Okay? And I will do better at bringing you in. You have my word on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Members, the motion before you is that the Fink Amendment dated February 18, 2026 at 2:27 p.m. be adopted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. It appears the ayes do have it. Madam Vice, please move the bill as amended.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 4049 as amended be returned with the due pass recommendation.
Members. Oh, please
Call the roll.
call the roll. Please call the roll.
Representative Gillette.
Aye.
Representative Marquez. Representative Stahl Hamilton.
Nay.
Representative Villegas.
No.
Representative Way.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Fink.
Aye.
Chairman Blackman.
Aye. What do we got next?
It's HB 2041.
Oh, thank you. Members, with your votes of 4 ayes, 2 nays, and 1 absent, you have given HB 4049 as amended a due pass. Next bill, please. 4041.
2041.
2041. Madam Vice, please move 2041.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 2041 be returned with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you. Members, you've heard the bill. Please explain.
Mr. Chair, members, House Bill 2041 redefines neglect to exempt a parent, custodian, or guardian's inability to provide a child with supervision, food, clothing, shelter, or medical care solely due to a lack of financial resources. Mr. Chair, there's an amendment I can explain.
Madam Vice, please move the amendment.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Fink Amendment dated February 19, 2026 at 10:41 a.m. be adopted.
Please explain it.
Mr. Chair, members, the Fink Amendment dated February 19th, 2026 at 10:41 a.m. adds this exemption to the juvenile court prohibition statutes. With that, I'm available for questions.
Members, any questions to staff? Seeing none,
Let me explain.
please.
Okay, so this one here actually was presented to me by Representative Stahl Hamilton. And we worked together on this one. And kind of so the talking points here is that 70% of calls to DCS is about neglect, and 80% of removals are about neglect. But we don't necessarily know if it's intentional neglect or if it's just a lack of resources that justified the removal. So currently, you know, we're seeing inflation going up, we're seeing a lot of other expenses going up, and we're also seeing some poverty increasing in Arizona. So right now, oftentimes the current structure is that, you know, when DCS is called, and if it is for financial needs, that it is, DCS does have rules already to be able to assist those families with various, you know, lack of resources or lack of facilities or whatever. And basically, we need to make sure and do that to reduce the trauma to these kids. And so I have some more stuff, but actually I have a speaker that will explain a lot of the stuff in regards to neglect. So I'll move forward if there's any questions from anyone. Okay.
No.
All right, so actually we do have one actually against. So it's by Jeanne Woodbury. Is she here? No, okay. Diane Post.
My name's Diane Post. I'm an attorney and I'm a registered lobbyist for Arizona Now. When I was the attorney for the NAACP for some 20, 30 years, I represented two particular cases that I want to tell you about that are the example of the problem here. They used neglect when in fact the problem was poverty, and they removed children from families and wasted taxpayer dollars. In both of these cases, it was grandmothers who had chosen to take their grandchild for permanent placement. One of the grandmothers was told she had to have a separate bedroom for the child who was under 1 year old. She lived in Section 8 housing. There were no two-bedroom apartments possible, and that just wasn't going to happen. Another one had put a child who was, again, a baby, put the child in a folding playpen to sleep during the night. She was told she had to have a crib and could not put the baby to sleep in a playpen. I said, well, I'll have to get some, you know, donations and get a crib, and they said no. In both cases, they removed the child from the grandmother and put them in foster homes. I appealed both cases. I lost both cases. Both of the families were African American. While these are older cases, the ones that I represented, I know that the problem is still happening today because there was a case decision in the appeals court in determination of MP in June of last year. And in that case,
30 seconds.
The court,
30 seconds, keep going though.
the court said that under the statutory definition of neglect, even if the failure was to provide the basics because of inability rather than intention, the court could terminate the parental rights. Even if the parent has successfully participated in a reunification program, and even if DCS offered no services at all, if it was neglect, even unintentional, they can take that child without going through constitutional due process procedures. I don't think that's what the legislature meant by neglect, and this case ought to be concerning for us all.
Thank you. If there was any questions?
Yes. Mr. Chair, Diane
Yes.
Post. Now, DCS may say that this bill will mean that they are prevented from taking calls about neglect. Is that the case?
That is absolutely not the case. Under ARS 5, Mr. Chairman, under ARS 8-533, the legislature put neglect and willful abuse together in B2, section B2, and it requires harm. It also requires that the parent knew or should have known that they were abusing or neglecting the child. So if a call comes in about neglect, they have to investigate two things. Number one, was there harm? And number two, did the parent know or should have known? So it is absolutely not true that if a call comes in on neglect, they may not investigate. That is not so under the law.
Mr. Chair, follow up? Okay. Now, you mentioned this case, in regards to, that was decided in June. So could you elaborate on that a little bit more? Because that is kind of concerning.
It is a very concerning case. In this particular case, the mother was 21 years old. She was suffering from postpartum depression. She was not eating, and the father of the child was abusive. She did not realize that her not eating meant she did not have sufficient breast milk for the baby, and the baby was not gaining weight. She's the one who called 911 to take the child to the hospital because she was concerned about this, and the lower court terminated her rights. In paragraph 15 of the decision, the court made it clear, and they said this twice in the case, that DCS does not have to offer any kind of services in neglect cases. They also said in the paragraph 15 that they do not have to follow constitutional principles when the case is neglect. Now, I cannot believe that that is what the legislature ever meant, because parents have a constitutional right to their children, and children have a constitutional right to be with their family. So it can't be that they don't have to follow constitutional principles. At the time of the hearing in this case, this mother had fixed her problems. She was being with the child 4 to 5 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week, and still the court ordered her rights terminated. What the appeals court found in this particular case was because DCS had offered services, they had to consider whether she had finished those services, but that they do not have to offer services. That's a disincentive, because what it tells DCS is when the case is neglect, don't offer any services, and then you don't have to do anything. So that's not keeping families together. That is deliberately separating families. The appeals court also said in paragraph 19 that this continues no matter how you try to fix it, because in the statute it says neglected, past tense with the ED. Any past behavior can be the reason for neglect, even if you have fixed that behavior. So if I'm poverty-stricken, I'm living in my car, and they take my child. The next day I win the lottery, and I end up with a house and a car and everything else. I still lose my child because in the past I did something that they didn't like. I think all of us in our past have done things that we don't want to necessarily be public. In this particular case, she did end up getting to go back to court and try the case again. The court said in paragraph 20 that the court had to consider parental fitness, but, and the court also said in paragraph 26, you could not terminate on unintentional act of neglect, because that would violate those fundamental liberty rights. However, they also said in the same case, you don't have to use fundamental due process, constitutional due process, when it's neglect. So this is a very concerning case, and it has a disincentive of keeping families together by saying, well, just don't offer any services at all, and then you can terminate.
Whew.
Wow.
Yes.
Members, any questions? Nope. Thank you. That was quite an impactful, powerful statement.
Thank you.
Or testimony.
I have Janelle Jones.
Ms. Jones, please approach and name an organization that you're representing, or if you're representing yourself.
Good afternoon, Representative Blackman and Chairman Blackman and representatives. My name is Janelle Jones, and I'm representing myself as a community member. On Saturday, a wise man that I loved and greatly respected told me, I have a good heart. Despite everything I've been through, I've tried to maintain that heart and use it to save families and to protect children. And that's why I'm here today in support of House Bill 2041. You see, I'm a mother of 7 children, 3 college graduates. I have owned and operated child care centers across the valley for 30 years. I've managed over $15 million in early Head Start contracts, and I helped pass the Missing Children's Law. Family is the most important thing to me. My husband and I adopted my daughter at age 8. As a teenager, she developed complex behavioral needs because she had been through 21 placements in DCS foster care system from the age of 3 to 8 years old. I didn't fail her. We asked for help, but the services that were needed were not available, and DCS placed her in a group home that was not equipped to care for her needs. And might I say, when we went to the hearing, it was during COVID, and so everybody called in. There were over 100 people from the community on the phone telling them what good parents we were. Had for 2 years how I had went hospital to hospital, residential treatment center to residential treatment center, and they still put her in away. My daughter went missing from a group home. Things weren't done. I was just on the news a couple days about this. She got 150 miles away. She came home with choke marks, bruises, and life-altering injuries, and she's right now living in an SMI home. I'm not here to relieve my pain, to relive my pain. I'm not even here to blame. I'm here to make sure that no other family goes through what mine did. And HB 2041 is personal to me. This bill does two things. It says that parents, when they can't get services for a child with a disability or chronic illness, that's not neglect. We have a systematic failure going on saying what's neglectful and when DCS can step in. Second, when a family can't provide food or clothing, shelter, or medical needs, that's not neglect either. That's poverty. You know, as a licensed child care providers, I have families who can't afford to pay $300 a week for child care because of the subsidy dry up, and they're making choices to call DCS on themselves so they can get child care services so they can go to work. That's not child abuse. That's not neglect. That's life. And so if we classify people because they are living in poverty as being parents that need to enter the DCS system, then their children end up in the situation like my daughter, 21 placements. This has ruined my family. When I say ruin, when I adopted my daughter, I owned 5 child care centers. I was at the top of my career, and when I say that this has wrecked us, completely wrecked us, and we didn't deserve it. We just wanted to help a little girl because we had a heart. But what we've endured in DCS, I am African American. I can tell you, I can prove to you that those stats are right. They take away African American children more than any other race. I can tell you that the attorney situation, I had to pay $65,000 to get an attorney to represent me so I would not lose my child care license. I'm not the person that deserves that. So if I went through it, I'm the standard. I'm the person it shouldn't happen to. So what do you say to me? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. And ma'am, I'm sorry for what you've had to go through, and I'm gonna tread lightly with the questions, but you may not be able to answer them because it's kind of buried deep into some of the work here. But you alluded to a placement of your child. Was that for special needs or physical, mental situation? I'm not asking for medical condition, but
So my daughter, I'm a very transparent person, and if you Google me, you'll find everything you want to know anyway, right? She has several diagnoses now. She's bipolar, schizophrenic, but this all started in DCS custody because when she went into DCS, she was raped, she was beaten. I mean, the abuse that happened to her at the hands of DCS, that's a whole nother conversation, right? And all that happened in DCS custody.
okay. So with that question, did your daughter get a placement that was recommended by DCS? Did they place her in the group home that they recommended?
So when she was removed from the hospital, they took her out the hospital, and she really shouldn't have been discharged. They put her in the placement center. She ran away. Then they ended up putting her in a series of group homes. None of them were adequate. Even some of the ones where children had died. And those particular group homes they had like a monument of the children on the wall, according to my daughter, and the group homes would say, this will happen to you, what happened to them if you guys don't straighten up.
I've heard that story, but Mr. Chair, the question is, do you know if your daughter was placed in a particular home at the recommendation of DCS, and was that recommendation changed due to facility or bed space?
She was supposed to be in a level 1 locked facility, and they placed her in a regular group home because they couldn't find the correct one. So, yeah, they did place her in a group home, but she should have been in a higher level of care.
Mr. Chair, final one. Do you know why was that placement made for the open bed space? And did DCS or DES make that decision?
And please go through the chair.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Representative Blackman and
Gillette.
Gillette, just like the razor blade.
Chair Gillette. Representative Gillette. It was made because they didn't have a place to put her. I mean, pretty much. And what was interesting about my daughter's situation, I had private insurance. And so under my private insurance, I was navigating the system, barely touching the state insurance. Well, I was able to get her in more places with my private insurance than her state insurance. But when DCS came in, they wouldn't even use our private options. And then they put her in their group homes. And so everything that I had lined up was off the table. So really, they did more harm.
Thank you, ma'am. That testimony, or Mr. Chair, thank you, ma'am. That testimony is, it corroborates what we've already learned here in numerous findings that we did on our own, the research that we did. And it would appear that your daughter fell victim to DCS policy 15-54, utilizing open bed space to the highest bidder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
you so much, and sorry you had to go through that with your family.
And we have one more, Jennifer Burns from Children's Action Alliance.
Ms. Burns, it's good to see you again.
Good afternoon, Chairman Blackman, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in support of House Bill 2041. My name is Jennifer J. Burns. I'm the Director of Government Relations and Health Policy at Children's Action Alliance. At Children's Action Alliance, we strive to create an Arizona where every child and family can thrive. Thank you, Chairman Blackman, for hearing this bill today, and thank you to Representatives Fink and Stahl Hamilton for sponsoring it. I'm going to start by saying I'm going to keep it, I've shortened my testimony, but I'm also don't have the personal story, so it won't be as impactful. But Children's Action Alliance is still in strong support of this bill. Poverty is too often mistaken for neglect. A family experiencing a financial setback or a family that struggles daily to make ends meet is not inherently unable to care for their children. When a child is safe in their home, distinguishing poverty from neglect, as House Bill 2041 does, can prevent unnecessary family separations caused by a family not being able to afford basic necessities. Avoiding unwarranted removals is best for the children and families involved and prevents this resulting and often lifelong trauma. I will say equally important is a broader discussion about ensuring families have access to the supports they need, from affordable housing and childcare to food assistance and health care. Investing in families also prevents separations based solely on poverty, reduces the length of time children spend involved with DCS, and can help a family become self-sufficient and thrive. 2041 is a meaningful step toward keeping families together safely. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, just one question.
Please.
So have you seen this being a problem for families being, children being removed because of lack of resources?
Mr. Chairman, members, Representative Fink, I will freely start by saying I'm not our child welfare expert. January Contreras says, but her mother had a procedure today, so when this got scheduled today, so I can't fully go in depth. I do know it's something that we support strongly, and the Casey Family Foundation, which does a lot of work in this, also was one that had brought it forward. So
perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? None. Thank you. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, members, the motion before you is at 2140, right? 2041.
2041.
Okay. Members, the motion before you is that the Fink Amendment dated February 19, 2026 at 10:41 a.m. be adopted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. It appears the ayes have it, do have it. Madam Vice, please move the bill as amended.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 2041 as amended be returned with a due pass recommendation.
Members, the motion before you is that House Bill 2041 as amended be returned with a due pass recommendation. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Gillette.
Aye.
Representative Marquez. Representative Stahl Hamilton.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Yes, thank you. I just, one quick point, and the sponsor and I spoke about an amendment that that needs to go on this bill just for technical, and I hope that that will happen on the floor. And with that, I am an aye.
Thank you.
Representative Villegas.
Aye.
Representative Way.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Fink.
Aye.
Chairman Blackman.
Aye. All right. Members, by your votes, 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 present, and 1 absent, you have given HB 2041 as amended a due pass. Okay, so the next bill we are going to do is 4001.
4004.
4004. And this is a Kesher bill.
Yeah, I'm going to do this one.
You're going
for
to do
her.
this one?
Yeah.
Okay, great, great.
Let's see.
Okay, Madam Vice, please move House Bill 4004.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 4004 be returned with a due pass recommendation.
Thank you. Staff, please brief us about the bill.
Mr. Chair, members, House Bill 4004 requires the Department of Child Safety to initiate investigations and protective action after receiving a credible report of child abuse or neglect, despite one of the child's parents being a protective parent. With that, I'm available for questions.
Members, any questions of staff? Seeing none, thank you.
Okay.
We have the co-sponsor.
Yes, yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. What it is that, many of you know that Representative Keschel and I have been, and also I know Representative Villegas has been helpful as well in regards to the Family Ad Hoc Committee and working with other families. And one thing that just, I have to say, I couldn't figure out, I was kind of flummoxed, that the fact that when there's a custody issue, okay, so there's one good parent and then there's one that's providing the abuse, why the courts were giving the parent that was doing the abuse, and part of it was that the good parent would go and contact DCS, and DCS said, well, you know, it's family court, you know, there's a good parent, so we're not going to initiate, and it's going to be unsubstantiated. So unfortunately, that report could have been very, very helpful for the protective parent to be able to change the legal decision-making and parenting time as it should be. And so, therefore, this bill is trying to address that concern. And so therefore, that is why I brought this forward. Well, Representative Keschel and I brought this forward.
Thank you. Any questions to the co-sponsor? Okay, seeing none. Do we have anyone to speak?
Yes, we do. Rachel Cardona.
Thank you for appearing. Name and who you represent, or if you represent yourself.
I'm representing myself and protective parents, Chairman Blackman, Minnie. Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Cardona, and I'm the mother of 5 wonderful sons. My children have always been my world, and I would give my life to protect them. Sadly, I've had to put those words to action and ending the relationship with their father, relocating to Arizona, and starting over as a single mother 2,000 miles away from home and the family we knew. HB 4004 will protect children like mine in cases where there is one clearly identified protective parent who seeks to preserve and another parent who threatens the safety of all involved. These cases are not anomalies or isolated incidents. They are everyday occurrences where loving parents are faced with the impossible option to protect and risk losing their children, or ignore and risk losing their children. In 2021, a DCS investigator was dispatched to investigate several calls the department had received pertaining to my 4 younger children. These calls were made by various separate mandated reporters who consistently reported the ongoing intensifying beating, poisoning, strangulation, and starvation of my children at the hands of their father, a man with a history of documented domestic violence and who has recently been arraigned on charges involving the strangulation of our now 12-year-old son. In 2021, at the time of the DCS investigation, our children were between the ages of 5 and 8. Upon collecting my children from school, I instead encountered a DCS investigator who conveyed her concern for the safety of my children after having spoken to them prior to my arrival. She urged me to seek an order of protection to intervene in the children being handed over to their father a few days later, but ultimately that request was denied. So this investigator implemented an emergency safety plan. For nearly a year, my children were only monitored visits with their father, but the family court ordered that I pay for them. This did cause a financial hardship, but my children were safe. Months later, and despite the investigator stating that she is going to substantiate the abuse of the boys following her investigation, I received a letter stating that the abuse was unsubstantiated. I later learned two things: that because there was active family court case, and because I was identified as a protective parent, the case was unilaterally closed as unsubstantiated. Within a month, I lost custody of my children, and they were given completely over to their abusers. Because you see, when an unsubstantiated DCS report is submitted to the court, the safe parent is vilified, accused of alienation, and custody is almost always flipped and reversed. For a year, I was only permitted to see my children under supervision for 2 and then 4 hours a month that I once again had to pay for. I was removed from the lives of my children and not even permitted to know what school they went to. This is outrageous. I have never harmed my children, none of us have. But under DCS guidelines that are currently in place, children are thrown to the wolves, and their trusted parent is punished for trying to shield them from harm. And it's really ironic, because I was told at the beginning of the investigation that if I ignored the abuse of my children and sent them to their father, I would be guilty of failure to protect, and I could lose my babies. But by acting to protect them and in their best interest, I was accused of alienation and I lost my children. This isn't right, and it cannot continue to happen. Children are losing their lives every day. Earlier this month, a mother in New York lost her son who was beaten to death by his father for the exact same reason. There were several reports at DCS that were made, but she was labeled as a protective parent, and her son ultimately lost his life, a toddler. I hear her voice in my head every day when I think of her. She's all over the news now. Yesterday, you heard the testimony of Hope Hooten here in Maricopa County, same circumstances, same situation, lost her 2 beautiful babies. Today, I humbly ask for your support in passing HB 4004. I'm asking that your support protective parents, that the catch-22 that we encounter is put to an end, and the DCS stop being the vehicle that's used to fuel the corruption occurring in our family courts. More than anything, I am asking that you stand on the right side of history today and make this critical change to DCS's protocol to end the carnage that occurs when DCS and family court intersect. Thank you all, God bless, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you, and sorry for what you are going through. Members, do you have any questions? I do have one. You and I had a conversation at one time, and this subject has come up, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
It was said to you directly, if I recall. Can you, if you don't mind, kind of telling me again to the members of that conversation when I guess the folks showed up at your home about your children?
In reference to their being well-spoken?
That and being black.
Yes. So they stated that my children were too articulate. And I asked, what is this comparison? Why are my children too articulate? They said, children who look like this don't speak like this. My children were accused of being coached because my children are children of color. I feel it necessary to state, I am a graduate of Hampton University with my bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in professional counseling. I am a licensed therapist. I'm a school board member. I'm the former state secretary of the NAACP. There's no reason whatsoever for my children not to be articulate, or anyone's children for that matter.
Thank you. Thank you. And again, sorry you're having to go through this.
Thank you so much.
We'll do what we can to help.
I appreciate you. Thank you all.
Yep.
Anything else? Anyone else?
Yeah, oh yes. Tia Carrick.
Ms. Carrot. Ms. Carrot?
Yes, Ms. Carrot.
Okay, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Tia Carrick. I'm here to urge you to support House Bill 4004 because this bill closes a dangerous gap that leaves many abused children without meaningful protection. Right now, too many cases fall into a cycle where agencies pass responsibility back and forth, and the result is that children fall through the cracks. I know this as not only an advocate, but as a parent. I was repeatedly told by the Department of Child Safety that because I was a protective parent, they could not intervene to protect my children. Later, when the concerns became so serious that the Office of Child Welfare became involved due to criminal conduct by the other parent that my children were placed with, the case was brought to juvenile court. Yet it was dismissed for this very same reason, that I was a safe parent and the matter belonged in family court. This happened even though DCS had documented significant concerns about the other parent and acknowledged that my ability to protect my children was limited within the family court system due to the fact that I had been reporting abuse, bringing it to the police and DCS, and nobody had done anything. They also claimed I was alienating my children. Despite the documented concerns and despite DCS's objections to dismissal when they finally did act, the juvenile court still dismissed the case because I'm a safe parent, ending DCS's duty to intervene based on the wording of the current statute. The result was that no one took responsibility. Each part of the system recognized the danger, but no part of the system was able or willing to act. House Bill 4004 is important because it makes the buck stop somewhere. It ensures that children do not lose protection simply because one agency says it's another agency's responsibility. It gives a path for meaningful intervention for an entire class of children who currently have none. Children who are reporting abuse but are trapped between systems that each claim they cannot act. Child safety should never depend on technicalities or jurisdictional loopholes. This bill ensures that when a child speaks up, the system responds, not with deflection, but with protection. Please vote yes on House Bill 4004 and help ensure no child is left without a path to safety. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, any questions?
Mr. Chair, did DCS also state the same thing, like it was unsubstantiated?
So my situation involves sexual abuse as well as neglect and child abuse. Unfortunately, sexual abuse is not prosecuted 99% of the time, and that is including of children. And when the police do not prosecute, automatically the Department of Child Safety is unsubstantiating sexual abuse claims. And if you actually look at the statistics of the DCS records, you will see that pretty much zero are substantiated in regards to sexual abuse, which is then saying every single one of those children are lying, every protective parent is lying, and when they go to family court, you are vilified. You are alienated. My children were separated from me for 3 years for claims of alienation when the only thing I ever did was report my children's disclosures. I had doctors testifying on behalf of my children. None of them were believed because they were not court appointed. The only reason I got my children back is because my daughter aged out at 18. And then father, who my children had been placed with, and I had only gotten 2 hours of supervised parenting time for 3 years. Only reason is because he was arrested for grooming other children that never should have happened because the kids would have never been in his care. All of these additional children who have been harmed by him never would have happened. This is not affecting just the child within like the parent dynamic, okay? Because if this didn't all transpire within the police reports that are going on in these criminal cases, there's at least 5 other children who have been harmed by this individual that never would have happened if custody would not have been flipped to their abuser. And DCS did not just dismiss it, not do anything. If they would have acted, if they would have been able to come to family court and to speak out about what was being disclosed, that could have changed things. Me consistently reporting and doing everything is why I got my children back, is because the Office of Child Welfare got involved. They had to do the research, and I am very diligent about every copy of everything, every police record, every body cam footage. I will go and get public records requests. I know every single thing. I know more than I probably should. That is the only reason I got my kids, is because they were able to look at every single thing I have filed and said, look, mother has been constantly saying this and bringing this to everybody's attention. Clearly she's safe. But then when they put that into everything into DCS and it got to juvenile court saying, well, you don't have any concerns about mom. We shouldn't be here. This is a family court matter. DCS is saying, okay, but we have significant concerns about the other parent, and it has been proven over and over that mother is being limited. She's not able to protect. She has 2 hours of parenting time. There's nothing that she can do. All actions that you would normally take as a parent who's trying to protect your children has been turned against her. She can't do anything to protect them. And they said, well, we'll put your report in. So they did do that, but then it still has messed up everything up, still in family court, because that's all they did. It's not like DCS now is coming in, testifying about everything that they have concerns about, what they think should happen, right? They're saying he needs to do a psychosexual exam on a polygraph. You think that family court's gonna do that? Nope.
Thank you, and
Thank you.
we express on behalf of the committee what you went through. So
Thank you. I
thank you
appreciate
for
it.
sharing. Thank you.
I appreciate your time.
Appreciate that.
I have Mary Dalton.
Ms. Dalton, your full name and who you are representing, or if you're representing yourself.
Good morning, Chairman Blackman, board members. My name is Mary Dalton, and I am here in strong support of House Bill 4004, and I'm here speaking on behalf of myself and Arizona Safe Parents organizations, because I've lived what happens when credible abuse allegations get minimized as a custody conflict, and when the presence of a protective parent becomes an excuse to do nothing. So as my ex-husband pled guilty to strangling his high school-age stepson, I left and filed for divorce. He was granted 50-50 custody with our young twins, as the courts felt like he would not hurt his biological children, and he continued to abuse them. Oops, I'm sorry. A counselor reported him to DCS for hitting our daughter with a broom handle and bruising her arm. The twins were interviewed, reported the same story. Even so, the report came back unsubstantiated. The investigator did not consider other domestic violence that was reported. She labeled it as a custody conflict. Then I was told something that still chills me to today, is that an unsubstantiated DCS report was justification for my ex-husband to receive full custody. I believed that the only way I could protect my children was to go back to him, so I did. Later, he strangled our own twin daughter. I left again and pled guilty again. And still, DCS told me that they would not substantiate because I had sole custody for that short window while he was in jail and the twins had a protective parent. He had 2 strangulation guilty pleas, gave black eyes, cut the palate of my son's mouth with a box cutter, shot his rifle through the ceiling of our family home, and yet was ultimately granted unsupervised shared custody because I had no substantiated DCS reports, and I was also accused of parental alienation. After that, he was charged with kidnapping and 4 counts of sexual assault. My young daughter disclosed at the Family Advocacy Center that she witnessed him assaulting me and tried to stop him. A new DCS investigator watched the interview and substantiated it as emotional, depraved indifference. And that's how I felt about DCS, depraved indifference. Ultimately, a jury of his peers found him guilty on all 5 Class 2 kidnapping and assault charges, and he was sentenced to 28 years in prison. HB 4004 is designed to stop exactly this failure: multiple incidents, no reports, and an excuse of a protective parent. Children should not have to wait for the worst outcome before the system acts. Please vote yes on House Bill 4004, and I stand for questions.
Thank you so much. And, are there any questions, members? That was quite testimony, and my heart goes out to you and your children.
Thank you.
On this, so thank you.
Okay, I have Melinda Sherwin.
Is she the last one?
No, I have. Okay. Oh, there she is.
Melinda, welcome back.
Thank you.
2 minutes, okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Chief Blackman.
How about you just call me Walt?
Chair.
My parents didn't name me
Chief of the chair.
Chief of the
And
chair.
Lisa. I'm so moved by these stories. I've seen maybe thousands of them in 33 years, because I've been in the courts at least 3 times a week for 33 years, since 1993. And child abuse is a crime. When did law enforcement relinquish their duties to protect and investigate crimes against children and hand those duties over to 20-year-old DCS workers with or without liberal arts degrees? DCS workers should not be conducting any kind of investigation, I'm sorry, against families. They are incompetent to do so. They insist their role is not a policing role. That's false. They act as police in what they call a non-criminal role, which is wholly unconstitutional. DCS, let them return to providing services to family in need. Stop their policing role and bring sanity back to the state of Arizona. Sheriffs and police departments, do your jobs. I think that
30
I've met
seconds.
many women who have been told by CPS, you better get that kid out of that house or you're going to lose custody. And then the abuser opens a case in family law and the children are taken over. And DCS abandons them once they have
Time. Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you so much. Members, are any questions? Hey, thank you for coming up and your advocacy for children. Okay.
I have David Nilsson.
Okay.
Yes, I do have you down. That you're, yes, Lori Ford.
Lori?
Did you? Okay.
Okay, so who do we have?
Lori Ford, go ahead.
Lori, and then you'll be our
I
last.
forgot to get her. She was against.
Okay, person
So.
testifying.
Thank you, Chairman Blackman and committee. My name is Lori Ford. I'm with the AZDCS Oversight Group. If I could have put 2 thumbs down on this bill, I would have. DCS should not be investigating anything. We have the stories, heart-wrenching, that we just heard. DCS has failed in the past in their investigations, as we all know. And for this bill to go through and this gives DCS more investigative authority, and they're not capable of what they have now going as far as investigations. Investigations should be left up to Department of Public Safety, the Office of Child Welfare Investigators, which both of those already exist, so it's not like we're inventing the wheel to get some forensic, trained, real investigators in there to, investigate at the beginning of an investigation, follow it through to the end. This, investigating the abusive parent, same thing applies. Get people
30
in
seconds.
there that know what they're doing. They're trained to do this. And they're trained to forensically interview the children and not take sides because they don't have a financial incentive, is the bottom line on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Members, any questions?
Mr. Chair, I do have one.
Please.
So this is when DCS, if you got mandatory reporters reporting to DCS about the abusive parent, and that report could be helpful in determining the custody of their children, as has been mentioned beforehand. So do you not believe that that's an important part that could help out, quote, a protective parent?
It's the fact that it's DCS doing the investigation. It just gives DCS more investigative authority to go in and do that part of it. There's other agencies that are better equipped to go in and investigate rather than DCS.
That's it.
Again, I want to thank you for all your help and your advocacy, and we're going to continue to lean on you for
Thank you.
your good advice, and we do appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Our last one is Maria Tanya Salazar.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Tanya Salazar. I am a domestic violence victim advocate in family court cases and juvenile cases with children with abuse. And also, I'm talking in behalf of some of the moms in behind here.
Weren't you yelling at me the other day? No, you wasn't. You wasn't.
It was my twin. No,
It was your twin?
No. And also, I work with the Arizona Safe Parents Organization as well. So anyway, so I'm here to tell you, like, these cases, this is what's happening. I mean, I understand what the last speaker told you about, and it's because it's a systemic issue. Like, the whole system is broken. And although I do agree that the police should be investigating, and there's some agencies that they are supposed to be doing that, but there's no rules, there's no procedures, and they are just failing the same way that DCS failing. One of the things that I wanted to mention right now is that this pattern of inaction stems from the U.S. There was a case in 1989 from the U.S. Supreme Court decision of the Shwani versus Vinerga-Bago Conti in 1989, which held that the state, and in also disregard any agency from the state, has no constitutional duty to protect child from private harm unless the child is already in state custody.
30 seconds.
Because of the Shwani DS and law enforcement routinely so that their hands are tied, prioritizing abstract risk assessment over confirmed disclosures harms. And this brings the loophole that we have right now, where DCS says, okay, there's a protective pattern, we don't do anything. But it's not just DCS doing that. It's also the police, it's also all these other agencies that are supposed to be doing this, but they just don't do anything. So, I mean, I just wanted you to be aware. And, I mean, passing that, maybe we can extend it, not just DCS, but also another agency that are supposed to be doing the investigation, because the main issue is everybody is like, no, it's DCS, it's police, it's everybody, so there's no really investigation in the cases. All these cases are getting unsubstantiated, and ultimately juvenile court or family court are labeling the parents to be alienating and coaching because they don't believe the abuse cases. So just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you so much. And thanks for your advocacy, and I do appreciate it, but don't be looking at me all mean next time. No, she didn't do that, y'all. Thank you. We appreciate you.
Okay. I'm open to any questions. And,
any questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
God bless you. That's it. Let's go ahead and
Yep.
let's move it. Members, the motion before you. Yes, I'm sorry.
Are we in discussion?
Yes.
Very quickly, there seems to be some confusion about the bill, and I wanted to clear that up. It's not that I disagree with you, but the way that the laws are written here, if you look at C, 4, or line 17 through 21, 4 through C, the department may not decline to investigate an allegation of abuse or neglect. That's when the secondary part of, or supposed to be, of DCS takes over, and it should be signed to an OCWI investigator. That part is good, and it shall be done. But my problem is with the OCWI investigator, the requirements are 18 months of related experience in enforcement and detective work, specializing in crimes against children, and 18 months experience at DCS. This is totally inadequate to investigate abuse, sex crimes, crimes against children. In law enforcement, you can't even go to training for those positions unless you've had 5 years of experience as a law enforcement officer, not to mention the forensics, the additional biology classes, blood spatter, all these things. In law enforcement, you're talking a seasoned law enforcement veteran typically becomes that investigator. And that's the intent here, but there has to be a mechanism to start that intent. So if I may, I'll continue on very quickly. The department shall initiate, and then once it gets to that point, OCWI needs to kick in, but they need to up their requirements rather than just 18 months and you've been here 2 years. You're good. Investigate something you're not qualified to investigate. So that, I did want to clear that up for the
Thank you.
folks so they knew exactly what we're voting on.
Thank you so
Thank you, Mr.
much.
Chair.
We appreciate that. Members, the motion before you is that House Bill 4004 be returned with a due pass recommendation. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Gillette?
Aye.
Representative Marquez? Representative Spell Hamilton? Pass. Representative Villegas?
Aye.
Representative White?
Aye.
Representative Spell Hamilton?
Present.
Vice Chairman Fink?
Aye.
Chairman Blackman?
Yes. Thank you. Members, by your votes of 5 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present, 1 absent, you have given HB 4004 a due pass. Okay, last bill. All right, so,
After I get moved, I'm gonna have to use the restroom.
Madam Vice, please move 2860.
Mr. Chair, I move that House Bill 2860 be returned with a due pass recommendation.
Okay, staff, please explain the bill.
Mr. Chairman, members, House Bill 2860 establishes the Independent Oversight Committee on the Department of Child Safety to improve transparency, strengthen accountability, enhance public confidence, and support improvement in the child welfare system. The committee has a termination date of July 1, 2036. The bill also creates the Independent Oversight Committee on the Department of Child Safety Fund for the operation of the committee with an appropriation of $2,200,000 from the State General Fund in FY 2027. With beginning in FY 2028, $1,800,000 must be appropriated to the fund in an ongoing basis. Mr. Chair, there's an amendment I can explain.
Please move the amendment.
Oh, I can tell. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Fink Amendment dated February 18th, 2026 at 5:02 PM be adopted.
Please explain.
Mr. Chair, members, the Fink Amendment dated February 18, 2026 at 5:02 p.m. modifies definitions, gives the Office of Ombudsman's Citizens Aid investigative authority with respect of a covered child welfare entity, and refer the matter to the county attorney or attorney general if they have reason to believe there is a criminal offense, as well as issue a corrective order. And with that, I'm available for questions.
Members, any questions? Okay, this is my bill, and based on everything that we've heard today, we do need some oversight on this organization. And I know that some folks don't like oversight. However, I will tell you that if we don't do something about this, somebody else is going to come in and do something about this, and that's the federal government. And I say that to you because I just got this message in. I've been saying oversight for our DOC for years. Federal judge grants motion for receivership to take over the Arizona Corrections healthcare system. I don't want to say I told you so. However, this is where we are headed with this organization because of what we are seeing. That is why it's important for us to get ahead of this. And with the help of my members and the colleagues, this bill is designed to, number one, protect children, have a true oversight of the systemic issues that we see and the white papers and what have you that come out of some of these hearings, to be able to make sure that we can do our jobs and, again, take care of these kids. So that's what this is about. There is an appropriation with it of $2 million. I will go to the appropriations chair and beg for these dollars. And if the governor is watching, I really hope that you sign this bill and attach the appropriations to the bill so we can get ahead of this. And members, are there any questions to me? And I'd be happy to amend this in a way that helps the body and the state. No questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to be clear, how many oversight committees does DCS have right now?
You know what? I do not know right now.
Yeah, I don't
I
either.
do know, I think that's something that we can take a look at, and maybe we can take out parts of this bill and plug it into what they have to see if it'll work, or what have you, take stuff out. You got seven. So let's do something different.
May I list them?
Please.
Is that all right? So, yeah, we've got, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have the Citizen Review Panel, the Community Advisory, Foster Care Review Board, we have the court, we have the Class Action, which is a review committee, existing Joint Legislative Committee, which you are a member.
Yes, I am.
And then the Office of the Auditor General.
Wow.
We got 7.
We have 7, and looks like they're not working on it.
Well,
So let's do this. They have 7, and we don't want to add to 8. Okay? Let's sit down and figure out what's the best way forward, and figure out what they are doing wrong, and how we can implement this, monitor it, and take some of those oversights away, or just make one oversight with the best ideals. I don't know. What do you think?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
Yeah, my first thought is, they all seem to have a different lens as to how they're looking at this.
Yes.
So it would be good for them to collaborate, and maybe with,
How about we do a stakeholder meeting and bring them all in?
yes. I think that would be good.
That's a great idea. What do you think?
Mr. Chair, my personal opinion is that this independent oversight committee that is proposed here with its amendment and the additional investigatory powers that the other oversight committees, other than the Auditor General, they write reports.
Yeah.
Reports that are given to members, reports that are given to citizens. There's no teeth in those reports. With the Ombudsman and the Auditor General, there's teeth that we can hold someone accountable. I would like to see the others report their findings to this oversight with the Auditor General, and then we have something with teeth that we can hold someone accountable for a change. That's just my personal opinion.
Well,
Mr.
I am going to move the bill forward, and I do believe that, well, I wouldn't have written this if it didn't have teeth, and I am going to move this bill forward. It is a good idea to find out what they're doing. And then I like the idea of them reporting to this, and maybe we can combine them, make them one. And with this, I am moving this forward, but the stakeholder meetings are important. Because if we don't know what they're doing, then it's an issue. But then, when we do find out what they're doing, maybe we can add more teeth to this.
Mr. Chair, if I may, that's my suggestion.
Okay.
These all have their own independent researchers and analysts, but there's no command and control mechanism.
Exactly.
This can be the command and control, and you can direct them in specific areas of their expertise. We have some subject matter experts in the room that are very adept at looking at certain parts, and we can sic them on that particular part. So each one of these, we could call them a subcommittee.
So it's
can
one lens.
investigate, yes.
One lens looking
Bring
at
in
it.
all the data under one command and control, one intelligence base that has actual teeth
Okay.
to go after the offenders or correct whatever
I like that.
needs corrected.
All right. So, yes, well, we've got I've kept the members way past, so, but we're going to.
Mr. Chair, the bill is moved.
Yeah,
I make a motion to call the question.
okay. Members, the motion was made to call the question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. It appears the ayes have it. Do you have it? I will go ahead and do the bill. And
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, so members, the motion before, wait a minute, do I have the wrong one? Okay, members, the motion before you is that the Fink Amendment dated February 18, 2026, at 5:02 PM be adopted. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. It appears the ayes have it. Do you have it? So ordered. Madam Vice, please move the bill as amended.
I move that House Bill 2860 as amended be returned with a due pass recommendation.
All right, members, the motion before you is that House Bill 2860 as amended be returned with a due pass recommendation. Secretary, please call the roll.
Representative Gillette,
Aye.
Representative Marquez, Representative Stahl Hamilton.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I really like the idea of a stakeholder meeting. I like the idea of figuring out how these groups communicate with one another. I do have some concerns about giving the ombudsman too much power. That gives me a little bit of heartburn. So I think this needs a little more time to tweak and to get it right. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. So I'm going to be a present.
Representative Villegas,
I'm going to vote yes, Mr. Chair, with the same concerns that, you know, hopefully before floor, you know, if it gets to floor, that we can, you know, have something clear, a clear
Absolutely.
understanding.
Absolutely.
Representative Way.
Aye.
Vice Chairman Fink,
Aye.
Chairman Blackman.
Members, real quickly, everyone has passion in this, as we saw today, and we want to get this thing fixed. I suggest that I will have my office reach out to those folks and see if we can set up a stakeholder meeting as early as next week. And I appreciate everyone's impact on this. Members, for your FYI, March 4th at a regular government meeting, we will have presentations, and I've sent you a text on that. If you have someone you want to bring to that to give presentations, you're more than welcome. And with that, I vote aye, and I got to read the stuff first, right? I can't just. But thank you, audiences. Got to read the total. Okay, members, by your votes of 5 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present, you have given HB 2860 as amended, 5 ayes, 0 nay, 1, 5 ayes, 0 nays, 1 present, and 1 absent. Okay. You have given HB 2860 as amended a due pass recommendation. What? I did read it right. You were staring at me, giving me the mean eye. Okay, members, having no further business before you and without objection, the special hearing on government committee is adjourned.